Mend a Divided World in Legends of Astravia, a classic RPG featuring puzzle-filled dungeons and a unique battle system where you control the time between turns. Lost within the turmoil of Astravia's past, you and your companions must find a way to unite its people before the cataclysm brings about another age of ruin. Now available to wishlist on Steam, with a free demo coming soon. Learn more by visiting www.astravia.net.
Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to RPG Maker Cola.
Hey RPG Maker Cola listeners, welcome to RPG Maker Cola Season 2. This is your fizzy soda-filled source of content for game development opinions that mean very little in the grand scheme of things. It's your favorite RPG Maker podcast, RPG Maker Cola. I'm your host Beanie, also known as Cash, also known as the Puzzle Snob, also known as your best podcast friend, and this is the place for you. It's a chill space where we get together skilled developers from the RPG Maker community to chat cordially and occasionally non-cordially about game development, game design, and probably a whole bunch of unrelated other stuff too. It's casual, it's cool, it's cola. Today I have 3 guests who really are fantastic, and I'm just so happy to have them on the show. You're going to love them. 3 mainstays in the RPGmaker.net sphere, and they've been here a while, but they're still creating their games, and they retain this sort of classical approach to graphics and gameplay that just isn't seen everywhere nowadays. And yet prolific as ever, still creating with some still continuing some lifelong dream projects almost about to come to fruition. Truly exciting. Our first guest is an author of such classical melodies. I originally discovered this developer through the Screenshot Survival thread, or whatever it was called back then, where they kept posting screenshots on RPGmaker.net about a game that was very lush and gorgeous. And in fact, this game just happened to be in development since maybe around 2007. And indeed, upon playing and giving feedback for the demo, beloved Rapture seemed to be a swan song to the original days of RPG Maker, including such classics as The Way, Romancing Walker, A Blurred Line. However, it was only in August of 2019 this project had a Kickstarter that nabbed, decent attention and is now being made at a rapid pace. Set in a world of political intrigue and ancient magic, Beloved Rapture is an upcoming 2D RPG inspired by the SNES era. Beloved Rapture is a game that takes place amidst an epic conflict, though its heart is more deeply concerned with the intimate human relationships of its characters. Personal and interpersonal stories take center stage. Characters challenge not only the next looming dungeon boss, but themselves and their own demons. Existentialism, spirituality, family trauma, LGBT themes and friendship are all important elements of Beloved Rapture's story and are treated with the reverence they are due. Now, this 16-bit story looks to be lush, gorgeous, and very, inspired. I'm extremely happy to have the lead developer as a guest on the show, an incredible creator whose work I've admired for a while and now finally get to address in person. I'm proud to introduce the one, the only, Blind.
Hey Ben, thank you so much for having us. And thank you for that introduction. You could have been my narrator for my Kickstarter, seriously.
would have been my pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been something that's been so on and off sort of integral to my life as a creative type, and something I've wanted to bring to fruition sporadically since even high school years. So, it's really great to be able to talk about it and find the 3 of you guys who have such a, great support system here. So, yeah, really happy to be here. It's Blind, or Aaron is my real name. Doing the call from Boston currently. So, yeah, just doing well, staying pretty healthy amongst the times, and just happy to be here. So, thank you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really glad to have you here too. Yeah, awesome. And now to our second guest. Our second guest is someone who describes himself as an indie game maker specializing in music composition and sprite creation, and that they do very well. Their passion project looks incredibly horrifying and very atmospheric. It's called Nihilo, and it follows protagonist Estes and his party as they journey to uncover the truth behind the calamity that laid their once peaceful world to barren waste. It features heavy immersion, explorable objects and locations, weapon customization, character upgrades, original and heavily modified graphic work. It just looks gorgeous. It also has optional quests, an objective menu, detailed enemy intel, and is aiming for 20 to 30 hours of gameplay, which is pretty ambitious. I'm really excited by the look and feel of this game, and I've played a little bit of it. I really loved it, and I'm extremely proud to introduce this crafter of game, atmosphere and tone. It's the one, the only, Giznads.
Hey everybody, I'm Giznads. My real name is Cameron. I'm the creator of Nihilo, or Nihilo, whatever you want to call it. I'm a big classic JRPG fan, like he was talking about. I enjoy creating, more than anything, I think character and like world design. Like that's like my favorite thing to do when it comes to aspects of making a game, I guess. But also, I like creating in general, games, music, stories, whatever. Anyways, I am stoked to be here with you guys, with Koopa and Blonde, awesome devs, and Cash, of course. Yep, can't wait to dig in.
Let's go. Our third and final guest is a self-professed avid video game developer, a fiend for RPG and horror games, a drummer in a death metal band. But firstly, they're the creator of a fantastic-looking game called Lacria Legends, an RPG Maker 2003 adventure where the energy of the world of Lacria appears to be waning, and the planet slowly is beginning to die. Everyone is in shock and is wondering what might be causing the planet's pain, and they began to look up to the sky to Gaia for a miracle, hoping she'll once again visit the planet and bless it with rebirth. That is their, first big project, and then going on from that gorgeous-looking ode to SNES RPGs to the horror-filled wonders of Shadowseeker, where you play as Carlos Ramirez, a seasoned detective who has experience in many different kinds of cases and investigations. On a fated day, you come face to face with a case you have never witnessed before, a very mysterious and tragic murder of a family that lived in the outskirts of the town. But your mission deepens. The mystery appears to be shrouded in evil like never before. What awaits you will tear you down and shake you to your core, and ancient darkness arises from the shadows. Enter the Shadowseeker. Yeah, and I played a bit of this game too, as well as beloved Rapture, I forgot to mention that. It boasts immersive combat in real time with stamina, critical damage, and horror galore. I'm really excited to introduce this guest who is, bringing innovative gameplay and action shootery stuff as well. It's really, really impressive in the engine. I'm really proud to introduce the one and the only Koopakush.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Amir. I like creating stuff in general, as well as Cameron said, whether it's music, games, or any sort of art form, just whatever the mind can unleash. It's good to be here, too. I'm happy to sit down and get to talk to everyone about our personal insights with game development.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. And just to provide a bit of context, something that the listeners might not know is that we actually tried recording this episode earlier. This is the second time we're recording this. And something happened with the audio. I'm just going to blame it on OBS. Like, it just glitched out and provided... When I went to look at the video and it was just like blank, like radio silence, and my heart sunk and I was like, oh no. I was, But these three were very... forgiving of my, for forgiving of my software. I'm just going to blame it on my software again. And we're able to be here again. The funny thing is also, in between recordings of this episode, we've actually been able to like exchange, support, game dev support, and share screenshots and share our progress. So it hasn't all been dire. It's actually been quite refreshing, and I've really enjoyed getting to know Blind, Giznads, and Koopakush over the course of the last few weeks.
The feelings
we're all like best friends now.
Yeah.
The squad.
We're carrying the 2K3 torch onward into the future, so.
Yeah. I've been thinking of creating I mentioned this in the group as well. I've been thinking of creating like an RPG Maker 2003 only Discord. Nobody who doesn't use it is allowed in, except for me. No, I mean, no, it won't be that exclusive. It'll just be just focus on 2K3. I think that'll be a fun idea for a Discord. Yeah, so I'm just really, just as a bit of background for those who haven't, if we reference something like last recording or something like that, it'll make sense. Yeah. Now that we're well acquainted, it's time for the Buzz Corner. Hello there, welcome to the Buzz Corner. We talk about what RPG Maker games are gaining buzz at the moment, or games in indie engines. If you can think of a game, I've asked our guests to bring one game, if they can, to talk about that they're pretty interested in. And they don't have to have played it, it just has to have a game page or something that looks good to them. I'm going to bring a game that I have played from start to finish from a person who's guested before on this episode, not this episode, different one. A person who has guested before on the podcast, ZDS created this game called Three Ghostly Roses. Edmund Brigham is a man who does not remember much. His surroundings are a mystery to him. He finds himself on a road, guiding himself towards a keep. Within lies the dark-robed gatekeeper who is awaiting Edmund. The gatekeeper greets Edmund Brigham in his own twisted fashion. Unmoved at the gatekeeper's attempts at riddles and mind games, Edmund's thoughts are stained by a silhouette, a rose. Edmund must overcome the trials on the road to the Garden Tower, and they are many and hard. So this game is like very minimal. It's like a non-linear, well, it's sort of non-linear. It's slightly non-linear kind of character-based battle system. You have one character, and like that idea of a single character RPG is it's very interesting to me because you have to kind of to compensate for like having multiple characters in your party. You have to kind of create a more detailed and in-depth sort of skill system and balancing if gameplay is going to be your focus in a single-player RPG, and that's what ZDS sort of does here. It's a little bit of a rock, paper, scissors kind of system, which would get old if it was longer, but it's about 2 or 3 hour long story. And I think the main things that really stick out to me for Three Ghostly Roses are its atmosphere and its story. What ZDS just really excels in is creating like a fable-like atmosphere, where it's like being told an Aesop's fable or something, or it's like it feels mythical. It feels like this game was created 200 years ago.
Wow.
It's very interesting. I don't really know how ZDS does it, but they say a lot with a few words. I suppose that's one of the things. They'll say a player will say a line that you can interpret in maybe 3 or 4 different ways, and you're like, what does that line mean? It's very cryptic. It does remind me a little bit of Off as well, because Off does that a little bit too, where they say cryptic things and then you're like, okay, I can tell that has some kind of depth, but I'm not sure what it is yet. I'll figure that out later. It's like building this atmosphere and this sort of but I think what makes it different from Off is that it is also telling a short story with deep, immediate emotional resonance to me, because I feel like Off was talking about some meta stuff. They were trying to play with the player's expectations, but Three Ghostly Roses is actually a completely sincere story about deep heartbreak, and I felt like that really resonated with me. This is actually one of my favorite RPG Maker games, full stop. This is an incredible game in my opinion.
Wow.
I should write a review for it. I'm bad for not writing a review for my friend for this game that I profess to be one of my favorite games, but I very highly recommend this game, Three Ghostly Roses. Yeah.
I'm looking through the screenshots now. It looks very classic style. Is that something that just like very open world?
Yeah, it looks like
screenshots
a NES game, like a regular Nintendo game.
Yeah. It kind of like Final Fantasy early on, or The Legend of Zelda, but more, from what you're saying, a little more cinematic emphasis, definitely.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's interesting in that way because it's, I think that's part of it actually. It's part of the kind of vibe is that ZDS creates these sort of retro kind of aesthetics.
Oh yeah, it says right on the game page. Yeah, it's all original NES inspired graphics and soundtrack. So there you go. Yeah, so that's what they were going for sure.
Yeah, all original, and I think it actually enhances, in my opinion, the atmosphere of the piece, because with the lack of detail, you can kind of read into things a bit more. It's a bit more mysterious, I feel, because if it had extremely highly detailed graphics, I feel like it wouldn't be as mysterious. It's going for an air of mystery and wonder about it. It's hard to explain. That's part of why I like it, is because it's so vague and yet at the same time so specific in its storytelling.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a big Zedius stan. Like I stand Zedius very high. I regard him very highly in all aspects. So
does it tell story like with like lore, like items and stuff? Like will kind of give you a better sense of the story? Is it like kind of like Dark Souls? Is it like that?
Yeah. I was actually chatting earlier. This is really bad, and I haven't played any From Software game. that's bad. And I'll probably get cancelled for that. But I think game dev cancelled. But I think from what I've heard from Dark Souls, it tells a story through its environment and the structure of its environment and the atmosphere of its environment.
Breath of the Wild did that really well as well. Like it kind of told its story through its environment and its ambiguity. You know, like it wasn't. The lack of direct storytelling almost added to the mystery in a way, which kind of seems like this game could do something similar, but in a more retro way. Obviously, I haven't played it, but kind of getting that gist from what you're saying.
You're right. Yeah, that's what it's sort of it implies a lot. There's a lot of cryptic dialogue, but it implies a lot through its atmosphere and its even the structure of the maps in the world itself. You're like, okay, so this building is important because of this, and the feelings, like even if there's like vines and stuff, that usually it contributes to the kind of emotions that the character is going through. It's very surreal, because I think this is like it's the sort of game where you're plopped in a environment or atmosphere that you don't know much about, and then you learn more about what it is and where you are as you go.
Dude,
that's the
Dark
usual
Souls
game. Yeah. So I'll probably play Dark Souls and go, oh yeah, it's similar. Yeah. But except I guess like Dark Souls revolves a lot around its gameplay, and I think if there was any one thing that Three Ghostly Roses could improve on, it might be its gameplay slightly, but it's not long enough to overstay its welcome. I think that's what like if it was to be a little bit longer, then it I think it would have to improve on its gameplay. But even then, I think the game would suffer from being too long, because it has that kind of what's the Brothers Grimm telling a tale of legends and myths. It feels like a myth. That's what it feels like. Yeah.
So the story's very precisional then, like it doesn't waste too much time with
I would like compare it to the feel of like Homer's Odyssey or something. But it's like kind of very,
I enjoy that every now and again though, just like a really short game, like you get the story, like it's more like watching a movie than playing a game, like some people don't want to spend 30 to 80 hours on a game. I get that. Like I kind of like that every now and then, so I get that. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, I guess and it feels like a poem. That's also what it feels like. It feels like very poetic, and even people speak as if they're speaking in haikus and stuff sometimes. I love it. Go check it out. Blind. What would you like to bring to the Buzz Corner today?
Yeah, absolutely. So this may be, as I said earlier in our recording, cheating a little, because we are going to do a deep dive here. But I really wanted to bring some attention to, a project that I have really been inspired by, not only in terms of how quickly it's generated content that's so high quality, but just, the fact that it's using a, 10 plus year engine as I am, and it's pushing things even beyond what I've seen other people do in such a short amount of time. It's just incredibly fun and high polished and mysterious, and just strangely dystopian beauty in this project. Nihilo is Giznads' project, actually, so he just launched his demo on RMN, actually, I think last week, right? A couple of us are still playing through the new demo, but I've actually played some earlier. Giznads can actually say the same for me. We, played some prototypes of each other's projects, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I don't even remember how long. So we've seen all the ups and downs, but it's just really inspiring. I saw this project come back onto the radar the last, 5 years or so, or not even. I mean, maybe a couple of years.
I would say since like the beginning of last year is when I picked this thing back up.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you don't mind, like, did you start completely over again, or were you using some parts you had done before?
I kept like the same. How do I say this? Like the same intro bit that you play in the demo is exactly the same as the old. Everything's just been revamped graphically and dialogue-wise and stuff. And thanks for bringing my game to the Buzz Corner, by the way.
It really felt to go along with our intro. Like, it really felt like it was kind of carved out of that classic era of projects that we all started in the community following, like either from the German community, where it just had that. The German community was really known for like horror projects and very like a lot of overlays, a lot of effects, a lot of visual emphasis on the storytelling. And I think this project is really carved out of that, that stone. Like, it just tells so. It has a great, amazing atmosphere, and the battle system is great, obviously, but it's so, like, tells a lot through its ambiguity, and it just kind of throws you into the setting. It leaves, what I'm getting so far is it's going to leave a lot of the exposition to flashbacks or like kind of sporadic scenes that are not in the moment of the actual story.
Would be right.
Yeah. Just a hunch,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really proud of Giz for getting this out, and his productivity level is something I'm jealous of for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but yeah, to see this be in development for so long, kind of go off the radar, and then come back in such a great way. Yeah, I saw it got its first review, and I'm really excited. I hope it keeps getting more momentum because it's very deserved. Everyone can go check out the screenshots. The amount of detail, and just even a single boss battle. He animated every single attack, every frame, every idle stance or animation uniquely. So anyone who's used this engine knows how beyond cumbersome that is. So especially me. So just a lot of respect and props right there.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to talk about that game later. So I'll leave
we
some
can all
more
save our
discussion
for later. But I wanted to bring that to everyone's
attention. Yeah, absolutely.
Download that demo.
Yeah, download the demo, and I'm actually going to be streaming that this Friday, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. As well as some other games, maybe by Blind or Koopakush. We'll see. It's mysterious. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, awesome. Nihilo, go check that out. Giznads, what would you like to bring to the Buzz Corner today?
I'm bringing two games, actually. One is Kingdoms of the Dump. It's like a SNES type game. It's adventure based, but it's like it does have like a turn-based like strategic battle system, which is really cool looking. It's really cute. It's a cute looking game. Like you play,
it's adorable.
Yeah, you play as like a little trash can. And your allies or your teammates or whatever, they're also really cute. Like you got like a little bug that plays with you, and like
I think there's broken down old guitar that's like part of
it's like it's like a mandolin or something. Yeah, it looks really cute. It I don't know, man. I've been stoked for this game for a long time. The dude that made this, he actually used to be pretty
He was in the community for sure.
He was in the RMN community, yeah. And he had a ton of other games that he never released. Like, it was always just screenshots or like videos of this awesome work he was doing, like in RPG Maker 2003, and then like he kind of just disappeared from there. And
am I thinking of a different person, or didn't he also attempt a remake of the Blurred Line?
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah. I remember it could have been a similar looking project. But
yeah, he obviously loves Earthbound because every game he's ever put out is isometric. Is that what you call it? Where it's like diagonal view or whatever, like Earthbound. Yeah, he has like that whole style.
Sometimes orthogonal. Sometimes orthogonal, I think, is the one where it's like a square at the front and then it goes diagonally towards the back.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
I think it uses like several different perspectives. I think. Anyway.
But this game is if you brought the Earthbound style pixel art up to a 15 out of 10 or something. Like it's just A plus and
Crazy detail.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, I just found this project about a week ago. My second game that I want to bring up is Alterium Shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on RMN now. The guy, it's DrassRay. I think that's how you would say his name. It's like a 3D environment and 2D sprites, which that's what caught my eye immediately about it, and I had to just start following it. I don't know much about it. Looks like just a regular old JRPG. Reminds me of like the PS1 era with the 2D sprites, 3D backgrounds and stuff. But I think he mentioned something about putting a demo out within like a month, so looking forward to that. And you can wishlist it on Steam. So
it's made in Smile Game Builder as well, which is like, and it's like 3D, like very like retro vibes, but like very 3D in terms of. Yeah, I think, what's the name? DrassRay has also been like streaming their game development since early on, and like before everyone started streaming, like 2015, 16 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, it looks really good. I'm impressed also because it takes a lot, like developing something by yourself in 3D. I can't even imagine like how much work that would be.
I was gonna ask, is it just him? Or does he have a team?
Yeah, it's just him.
Oh wow, that's super impressive.
I don't know if this is the same game I'm thinking of too, but I'm recognizing some of the pixel art is it's by a pretty popular like pixel artist on Twitter. I think Salil is her name, but she I'm seeing a mixture of different because she licenses her pixel art, but there's a lot of custom work here from these screenshots, and it's put into like an Octopath Traveler type of overhead view, but it's like it's done in such a nice way. Like there's no like overdone bloom effect or like anything like tacky like that.
Oh, here we go.
Really
I just went to their website. It is 2 people actually, which is still super impressive. Motzi and DrassRay. Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really nice.
Yeah, I think I've seen some of their earlier games, and I actually think they've improved quite a lot. Because I mean, not that their early games look. No, actually, yeah. I think they did like visually big upgrades, because I think some of their early games used a lot of Celiana and like existing tile sets, and they kind of, to me, they exhibited like a lot of like making big games, but the way that they use the existing tile sets kind of put me off a little bit. But like since this game looks totally unique, like I think it allows it to shine a lot more, and I'm really looking forward to like I really like the direction of this game as well.
Yeah, I didn't realize, Giz, that this was actually a project I'd followed on Twitter for a while too.
I want to say maybe DrassRay was recommended to me through like through you being a mutual friend on Twitter or something.
It's entirely possible. The music is also really well done too. I remember watching a video they posted, and I was just really enthralled with. Exactly like you said, it sounds like just a classic like PS1 soundtrack, where it's very like not fully 16-bit, but it's a tier above that. It's very fitting.
Yeah it's awesome. All right, so that's Kingdoms of the Dump and Alterium Shift. Go check those games out. Neither of them have a playable demo yet, but just go follow them on Twitter or whatever you can. Koopa, what do you bring to the Buzz Corner today?
I'm bringing an RPG Maker 2003 game, actually, called Country of Snow by this dude named MacBob. And I'm generally a pretty huge fan of, primarily games that use this engine, because I use it too, so it's always cool to see someone else use it. But two, like through a technical aspect of it, like he really creates this custom battle system that's like both overwhelming and like amazingly constructed, and it's really nice to see that.
I played a little bit of this. It was really fun. I was very impressed with the amount of work that went into it, for sure.
I feel like, because I did play his earlier game, it has a super long ass title, I forgot what it was. I want to bring her back to life, but I don't know where to start. That game. Wow. I played that game actually, like, I want to say like a month before I started developing Shadow Seeker, and that game is actually what kind of got me to say, like, to challenge the engine. You know what? Like, just to think, I want to try and do something crazy like that too, like with
Wow.
Oh, wow.
like the eventing and the coding and stuff. Like, oh man,
Is this a completely custom battle system?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it looks pretty similar looking in that, like, there's like the menus, they just say, nah, I'm not going to use the normal Windows skin, I'm just going to use my own thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's got like different font and like different like window sizes. It looks like it doesn't look like it was made in the engine, because they're like default Windows, screw that, I'm going to make my own, you know, like, and they're like different sizes and not really the traditional size of what you'd see in an RPG Maker game. Very thin lines and
lots
things
smaller
like that.
text and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
So you
minimalist.
can fit a lot more.
Yeah.
You can fit a lot more like text in there, because the font is like how many pixels tall? Like 5 pixels tall or something like that. It looks like it anyway. Yeah, so you can like fit like a lot in there. I think that might be the reason why they made such small text, I guess.
The developer himself is a pretty interesting individual. He always makes me laugh. I don't know if you
Oh really?
could ever see some comments on him or captions he posts or any.
No.
But if you ever do read some of that, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I've seen like the descriptions of their games. They have, you know, I want to bring her back to life, but I don't know where to start. The description of the game is he wants to bring her back to life, but he doesn't know where to start. So,
Can I just say,
And
I
then
hope
for
that game won a Myso just for that title alone, please.
yeah. If only that. I don't think they had that. Oh, maybe they didn't have that Masao Award in that year. But and for the Country of Snow description, it says for the weebs, for the weebs, Yuki no Kuni. So it's like, yeah, you can tell they've got a little bit of a sense of humor when they. And then under features, they just say yes. It has features. Yeah, this looks great. Like the amount of custom systems, I can see how it would influence you, because you like to implement. Actually, all three of you like stretching the engine quite a bit in terms of like providing new systems and stuff, and putting great effort into like the animations and everything.
Yeah, I feel like that. What's really cool is we're all stretching the same engine, but in totally different ways too.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So that's Country Snow. Go check that out. Country Snow. Cool. So that's the Buzz Corner. That's the games that have been buzzing for us lately. And now about to move on to our next section. We've been playing games. Maybe. Hey, have you been playing games? If not, that's fine. If so, you can listen here as each of us talk about a game we've been currently playing or have played in the past and explain what we liked and disliked about it. I'm going to bring a game called Scarlet Hollow. Now, I'm making a game called Paper Thin, and it's like a visual novel / life simulation. The rare peek into Benny's game development life. But I've been like researching different visual novels where choices matter. I kind of went through like the tag for choices matter on Steam, and I'm like, okay, I've got to play some of these games like Scarlet Hollow, and there's like Disco Elysium and stuff. Scarlet Hollow I found through that tag, and it's like a hand-drawn, choice-driven horror adventure game from award-winning graphic novelist Abby Howard. And it has a really distinctive like drawing style. Obviously, apparently this graphic novelist is quite well known before they started making games, and it kind of shows because all their drawings are just like really well composed, and you can just tell, okay, this person knows how to draw and do like shot composition and everything like that, which is very enviable, particularly when it comes to like directing horror scenes. Like they can just draw their own scene. I'm like, okay, I wish I could draw like that. But what's also interesting about this is that it's very ambitious in that it's aiming to be very heavily branching narrative. So they have this kind of system where you can say stuff, and then it has like a visual indicator on certain options, like this could change things. Like So it's, I can't remember what it says something in brackets, but it basically it kind of indicates, okay, if you say too much here, you might block out certain options, or if you say the right thing, you might open certain options. So it has that kind of sense of like warning you about choices mattering and stuff like that. And also it has this like different modifiers in brackets, like if you're about to lie, it has in brackets lie, and then what a wonderful place you have or something like that, but it's actually you're telling a lie kind of thing. So I like how it tells you, it gives you like contextual information that you'd feel. It has some like modifiers, like in brackets it might say explore, which means this is a way of exploring your environment, but it also comes with dangers. And then also at the beginning you choose your traits that you have, such as street smarts, or you might be really extremely good looking. So like if you choose the good looking trait, then characters around you that'll say someone swooned at you, and it'll say that was because you had the certain trait. And some options will only be available, say if you're like if you have a very high opinion of yourself, you might have a very braggadocious option of speech available to you. It was just, I was quite taken aback by how much they accommodated player choice in this short demo. The only thing is it's quite short right now, but they're creating further episodes to kind of make it deeper. Yeah, I'm really excited for Scarlet Hollow, and it's free to play. So that's another good thing about it. So you don't have to buy it. It's on Steam, free to play right now. People give it really lovely reviews. Yeah, go check that out, Scarlet Hollow.
I'm looking at the screens. It has some very edgy artwork.
yeah,
in a positive way.
How so is it like is edgy? Do you mean like the horrific nature of it, or is it
it just seems like.
What way do you mean?
Yeah, like it has. Is it consistently black and white? Do you know, or is it the whole thing?
Oh, it's
kind of in that.
Yeah, like very muted colors. Yeah, it's all in that kind of muted kind of. I'd say, I don't know what the color is, like ochre, like beiges and whites.
Yeah, it just seems like very
browns.
Very fittingly, but it's extremely desaturated, and the screens all just kind of have that. Just coherent atmosphere and it seems like every scene literally is custom drawn from these shots. So
yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Has like a comic book feel.
Yeah, it definitely does, even when you're inside the game. And also the story is that the town is like kind of drab and boring and even a little bit decrepit, apart from some places. Some places are bustling, but other, like the mansion you're originally in, is a mess. So I guess it makes sense that everything's desaturated and awful looking. It's almost gothic, I suppose, but yeah.
I like this little deer with the
pics
out of their face. I'm not sure what's going on.
It's like tumors or growths.
Yeah. So that's an important thing to recognize about the game as well, is that it doesn't really lean into it. Oh, it does a little bit into the demo, but like it is in essence a horror game. Well, it's a horror game in the same sense that like Nancy Drew vibes almost. I don't know if you know about the Nancy Drew kind of series. Like the kind of detective kind of, you feel teen detective kind of vibes, like but like not like it's not as if you're like this preppy kind of I know everything kind of, it's like a kind of, I don't know how to describe it, early, I'd say even late 90s kind of vibes in there as well. Yeah, it's really cool. I'd recommend go check it out. Scarlet Hollow. Blind. What games have you been playing lately? Maybe.
Yeah. So I also mentioned. Everyone will remember. Maybe I mentioned this project the last time we recorded. But it's such an amazing indie game that I felt I wanted to mention it again. So, and I just learned actually recently this week. It seems like the team is developing a sequel, so that's pretty awesome. But it's called 1980X. So it's an arcade style indie project. So it's a little outside of our RPG Maker bubble, but it's a coming of age story told through multiple games and genres, worlds, and characters. Experience the thrill of shooting, driving, jumping, fighting, and role-playing combined seamlessly with emotional cinematic storytelling. And, that could easily be very hokey and go quite badly, but, the melancholy is just enough to be likable and not overbearing or emo or, like petty or anything,
Yeah.
It's really endearing. It's really heartfelt. It's really genuine. So it basically set in suburbia in the 80s, and it follows just a suburban kid. I don't even think this character has a gender that's revealed, but it's a teenager stuck between kind of the stage of his innocent youth, where a lot of his imagination and his early years were spent fantasizing like through arcades and games and stuff, versus his normal life of struggles and coming to terms with his parents' divorce and his friends and wanting to be alone and his teenaging moping.
Every screenshot looks rad. Like it looks like they nailed every genre.
It's literally like 4 or 5 games in one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
all of them are done. I mean, except for the RPG final level, which is just an okay for me, but
it's
a little more critical.
front view. I never liked that either. Like that front view battle system, like old Dragon Quest games or whatever.
And I mean, I think it's telling I don't even tend to enjoy front view RPG Maker games, so whatever.
I don't either. I'm with you.
But the pixel art is stunning. So it really has these 5 distinct sub games. Each one of them lasts maybe 10 to 20 or 30 minutes. And it feels like its own self-contained games with different levels, different sections. Like the racing part kind of feels like a bit like Outrun, that old Sega game. It's really drawn in that simple style with the mode 7 moving the stage around, and the arcade game is kind of like the old, like the classic beat 'em ups or like the Simpsons arcade game or something, where you're like beating the way
Double Dragon.
Yeah, no business being that hard.
And then it has these really beautiful scenes in between that's just purely pixel art scenes with a kind of a hokey narration, but it's so endearing that you can't help but just go along with it like an anime or something. But it's just so cinematically done for an indie game that it's something I aspire for, and I think I still have a ways to go in getting to that. So it was just a true inspiration, and it was actually not just artistically, but really fun to play, especially the ninja stage. You're kind of racing through this forest, and then this creature comes behind you that looks like a pixel version of No Face from Spirited Away. It's chasing you. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
It's scary. But
over the top arcade action meets coming of age drama.
Exactly. And it has a very kind of new agey 80s film meets Blade Runner synthetic instrument soundtrack that's kind of going throughout the entire thing. So it's
Tron style.
Yeah, well, Tron meets Blade Runner mixed with kind of like new agey lo-fi too. It's really well done. So
yeah, speaking of lo-fi, some of these like animations and like high level like pixel art, like it's very, very intense
it's
high
beautiful.
definition pixel art.
Yeah.
It's beautiful and reminds me of those beats to study, lo-fi beats to study and listen to. Some of them is like
like what
like
the image that you'd find on those videos or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but those are really beautiful and like atmospheric and like it just reminds me of like some of those really lovely scenes.
It feels like it's at the fidelity and level of storytelling that some of those old games maybe aspired to do or wanted to do or just hinted at. But this game, even though it is very short, I beat the whole thing maybe in 3-4 hours, but it's just so tightly done that you can forgive that, because it's just it really blurs the line between a visual novel and an arcade game, which I hadn't seen before, done really well. So for the fact that it was a small indie team, I was really impressed.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Go check that out, 1980X the game. Yeah. It's available now, I think. Yeah. How about yourself, Giznads? What have you been playing lately, maybe?
I brought 2 again, because that's what I do. So I brought one from the RPGmaker.net site, like a little indie game, and I brought another one that I've been playing on PlayStation, which I think it's indie as well. I'll just start with the Skydancer. That's the RPGmaker.net game. It's I've only played about an hour or two of it so far, but you can like tell it's really inspired by the anime Fist of the North Star. I don't know if y'all have ever watched it. It's really cheesy. I wouldn't recommend Fist of the North Star unless you're like a huge anime fan, but it's post-apocalyptic, which is cool. It's got like Neo Tokyo vibes.
Wow.
It's so what caught my eye about it was the custom systems. Like they have a ton of custom systems in there, like the menu system, level up. Battle system is really cool too. Like, so for every attack you do, it actually has like an input command. So like when you select attack, you input like up, down, left, or whatever, and it does different like attacks, which is really cool in the 2K3. Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it's not really that I know of. I feel like it's not really heard of. Like I don't hear anybody talking about this game, and it's
especially in 2000 RPG Maker 2003. Like, there's no.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
It looks like it uses the default battle system from these shots, but from what you're saying, it's way more involved. Yeah,
it does, and it also it's the illegal version, the same one I'm using for. Nihilo. Well, yeah, that's what it is. It's the ripped version from forever ago. But they're making use of a ton of Don plugins as well. So I don't know. It's really cool. I would recommend anybody that likes 2K3 games to check it out.
This looks amazing. Like I love all the different menus and stuff, and how it looks like super like you got like a leader and two supports, and like the systems that they use. They got items, techniques. Combos, upgrades, and they got this upgrade. I don't know what do you call it? Like the web of like what do you like skill? It's kind of like skill tree, right? But it's like
like the sphere grid or something like that.
Yeah.
Skill grid. Yeah, it's like there's power. I don't know. But yeah, like they're all kind of seamlessly kind of coming through together, and it is a recent one as well because it was created over 6 years, but it finished in 2019.
Yeah.
A recurring theme for this episode.
Yeah. I was just gonna say I can't remember what language. I think it's Italian, maybe that it was in. I'm not sure. I could be wrong about that, but I think it just recently got a translation. I don't know how long the game has actually been out. I don't know if it's been out. If it's already been out in a different language, and it just I don't know, but.
I think that was the same situation for Thea.
Yeah.
Right? It was in Italian or German.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it was Italian.
It was pretty well known. I remember I posted it in the RMN Discord like 4 years ago, and people were like, "What is this?" And then obviously it had its run on the website, but it was in the works for a while.
Yeah. But this one's
game
really
too.
fun.
It looks like these menus like don't even look like 2K3 at all, so if they're functioning, that's quite an accomplishment.
Yep. So far, it's been pretty fluent, man. The only really gripe I have about this game is the English translation. It's not exactly top notch. It's kind of funky here and there, but yeah.
Well, they probably don't have a budget to get a professional translator, so that I can overlook that.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend it, though. It's been really fun so far.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
And then how about Remnant from the Ashes?
Remnant from the Ashes. I've heard about this game for a long time. I'm a big Dark Souls fan, or any Souls game fan, and it's been recommended to me by a bunch of friends, and I finally downloaded it like 2 or 3 days ago, and I haven't stopped playing it. It's a really good game. It's kind of cheesy at first, like it's kind of cheap looking at the front of the game, in my opinion. But like as you get into it and start changing your gear and like getting all these new weapons and shit, it's really, really fun. And the boss design is cool. I would recommend it if you are a Souls fan. Definitely play that. And you can play online with your friends as well. So that's a plus.
Yeah. Co-op?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, it looks really good. This kind of idea of scavenging, upgrading, specializing. Yeah, seems a pretty good thing to play as inspiration for Nihilo, maybe.
Absolutely, it's
Yeah.
it's post-apocalyptic. That seems to be the only game I've played lately.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. Like, yeah, make the game you want to see. You know. Yeah, excellent, awesome. Go check those out. Skydancer and Remnant from the Ashes. Koopa, what would you like to bring to this section today?
I'm bringing another From Software game.
Yeah.
Called Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
Mhm.
And I've been playing this like for the past maybe a couple 2-3 weeks, and I really like the gameplay is a lot simpler compared to Dark Souls, but it works. It's super fast paced. Playing in pleb mode, I'm using mouse and keyboard. I'm not using a control.
Oh wow.
But it's pretty cool because I right click is your parry and left click is attack. So like I'm on the mouse, as soon as enemies hit you or deal damage, you have to deflect super quick. Like with reflexes, you actually feel like you're like a ninja or a samurai.
What's the deal? What's the deal of the difference between controller and mouse, and keyboard and mouse?
There's just a big stigma over playing From Software games with keyboard and mouse.
As in, it's easier or harder?
It's just super awkward. Like the controller has a way better feel. Yeah.
Really? Oh.
But that's at least for the earlier Dark Souls games. Like Sekiro actually feels good on mouse and keyboard too.
True.
But yeah, it's a super cool game. I like the mythology, like the Japanese mythology with onis and dragons and demons, ghosts. Bunch of cool themes. Environment's super nice.
How much would you say is exploration versus puzzles or combat? I watched my roommate play it just a little bit, and it was largely
there's
him
a
kind of
shitload of exploration.
Yeah, it was mainly him moving around the environment. I didn't get to see too much combat or anything.
And that's a big staple in like these kind of From Software games. There's items hidden in every nook and cranny. You explore like random little optional paths just by running around. A bunch of stuff like that.
Environmental storytelling, as we were kind of telling earlier, I guess, is like.
Yeah.
Another cool thing about Sekiro is the combat. I fucking hated it at first. It's different. It's different from the Souls games. Honestly, like it's a different system for sure. But once you get used to it, it's like, man, this feels really, really good. From Software always does a good job at combat, though. Like,
yeah, there's no R1 spamming in this game.
Nope, no sir.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, really good game.
Yeah, again, I have to just kind of state my my From Software virginity. Just being like, I'm sorry, I haven't been through that experience, but I really do need to check it out because it's in every single game design conversation.
You'll either love it or you'll hate it, man. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and even if I hate it, I might love it at the same time. I
might hate it in
something
like some aspects. Yeah, you might love some aspects about it and just hate playing the damn thing. That's some people.
I remember seeing a bunch of posts when the game first came out that there was a lot of sales, and then like about a week or two later, there was a lot of refunds because the game's really the game is super hard, and people. If I'm being honest, most people nowadays prefer an easy casual game. They can't handle hardcore.
Yeah.
Well, I think at this point, people have kind of grown accustomed to it. Like they know it now. Like Dark Souls has come out and the trilogy has come out, and now by the time Sekiro's come out, people know what to expect. They're like, well, kind of. They're like, okay, I know this is going to be difficult. Bloodborne and stuff. They get what From Software is going for. So it's like, I think they know by now, and those who attempt it will have that mindset in mind.
Have any of you played the remake or the original of Demon Souls?
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah,
I bought the game.
My roommate
don't have a
PS5
PlayStation
waiting for us, and we've hardly used it. But I didn't know really what to do on there because there's not that many titles yet. Cyberpunk,
that's how it is, man. Like they don't hold your hand one bit. It's just like, here you go, figure it out.
Yeah,
just,
for real.
Like,
there's something really pure about that, I suppose. Where it's like,
I wonder how much of Demon Souls in the remake they've kept in terms of the just like you figure it out yourself, like not hand holding, because I remember the same team remade Shadow of the Colossus, and
God, I love that game. Yeah,
they basically kept the engine exactly the same. They just painted the visual overlay over it, but it was the same engine. So all the frustration that came along with the jumping and climbing was still there intact.
Yep, and that's still here in the Demon Soul. It's exactly the same. So they just gave everything a fresh coat of paint and made it look really pretty. But the mechanics are still there, which kind of sucks. Like, because from a PvP view, it's horrible. Yeah. Like, those old games are like,
but there's so many purists that really want
those hitbox
that to be maintained for better or worse. So I mean, they're kind of caught in the middle of that. So
I'm looking forward to Elden Ring, their newest title they're putting out. I'm hoping the PvP in that game is great.
Yeah, yep, I know. It's always been an issue with these games.
Mm-hmm.
This was kind of unrelated, I suppose, but when they were like translating, because with the Demon Souls thing, they're trying to keep true to the original, but when they brought Chrono Trigger to the PC, apparently it's like quite a few changes that people don't like too much.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, what did they do? Yeah. What did they do to it? Is that the same as the iPhone port, or is that?
Yeah, I think it's the same one.
There's been so many damn ports.
It looks horrible.
I know now they did like.
I am really opinionated about this, perhaps overly so, but they made the Chrono Trigger and the Final Fantasy VI port to the iPhone look absolutely terrible. Like, they ruined this beautiful, world-renowned, like, great pixel art, and they just made it to like this,
like, smooth, clear.
It's just how could that be the same Square Enix? I don't understand. Like,
yeah, go check out Sekiro, Scarlet Hollow, 1980X, and Skydancer, and Remnant from the Ashes. Good games. All right. So now that we've finished with that section, let's move on to the more serious stuff with this new section, topics we must discuss, because this is a podcast and it's serious. Welcome to this section where we discuss the serious questions. Sorry, there's an echo there. It kind of it needs to be fixed. It's in the corner there. I'm gonna ask a couple questions about our three developers here, and where they came from, what their inspirations are. So my first question is, how'd you come about making games? If it's RPG Maker, how'd you discover RPG Maker? And what's your general game dev story? Who'd like to start?
Blind.
I'm the oldest one, I guess. I'll go. I'm the grandfather of this group. Where to even start? Wow. Yeah, I honestly found the engine just messing around, like when I was, I think, like 15, maybe 16, and I went through all the stages of the community with it. Like, when I found it, I think, through maybe either Gaming World or Karas.net, or one of those, RPG Revolution, one of those sites. I was messing around. I made literally probably like 4 to 5 different fan games, like different things, like a Zelda fan game, Mega Man, like just something really shitty, testing out the engine, Like, I stayed with it and just kind of tried to learn as much as I could. And I came in contact, once I joined Gaming World, that was my main little hub that I had for a while. I got to know, RFL was a great inspiration, the Philosopher's Stone, The Way, Blurred Line, all the classics of that Vel Saber, as we said earlier. And I kind of took a bit of a hiatus for a while. I'm sure, I don't know if you guys were around, but I released, some very old prototypes of what was kind of the example of beloved Rapture, like the first iteration that was using just, like most people were back then, like ripped tiles from Chrono Trigger or Suikoden or Final Fantasy. Just like a true hodgepodge of like what I wanted and what I was envisioning. And, it was really harsh. Like, the reception was hard, but, it made me realize, like, I had so much to learn and grow from in terms of, like, the writing, the map design is something I really like. Just found the maps in the games that I wanted to emulate, and I just sat and I recreated them and taught myself how to make nice environments that were compelling. And I remember, not to go through my whole history here, but I remember,
there was a few big transitional moments I remember, like after Gaming World was kind of in a decline, and I know you had an episode about this actually, Ben, right? Like just the whole history of the community.
Yeah.
That was really interesting to hear
Yeah.
everyone's perspective on it, especially like Messiah and Whip and everything. Yeah, so he invited me over to RMN when that was kind of in flux, and then I had my own kind of like forum briefly, and then I lost interest in it and I gave it away to some other people to run, and we eventually just all collectively moved over to RMN, and I kept going with Beloved Rapture for a while, but I think what was a big catalyst for me was right around the same time was I had I was going away to college, like for the first time I was moving on my own, and also I had lost, unfortunately, like 6 months or so worth of progress I'd made. Like I made so much progress, like after a demo I'd released, I remember on Gaming World or something, I went through and I fixed all the dialogue, I fixed all the people's complaints, and then the hard drive basically broke, so I was back to that copy again. So I was pretty much like, okay, forget it. Like I was really...
I've been through something similar where I lost months of progress as well. Yeah,
really?
On a game that I was working on. Yeah,
Wow.
It kind of sucks.
I've heard that from like every developer I've ever spoken to.
Yeah.
Like that seems to happen to them at some point. I'm knocking on wood right now. I've been lucky enough that has like never happened to me. I don't know if it's like every time I export like a new or I made any big changes in my game, like I put it on a little flash drive and I upload it to Dropbox, and
You're very smart.
That's the way to go. That is. So that's, if there's anything you learn from this episode, just back up your projects. Be like Giznads.
Well, they didn't have Google Drive back 10 years ago, so
yeah, true.
They had flash drives though. Come on.
Oh yeah. I know.
They had floppy disks. You could burn it on a CD.
Burn it. Yeah, so I mean, I took a hiatus for quite a while, from like 2009 to maybe 2015, 16, and then by some miracle, I was going through my old apartment and I found this laptop that I had in my storage. I tried to turn it on with a new like power cord that I had, and by some miracle, it just came on. I don't know. I thought this laptop was pretty much like done for. I just wanted to see if it worked at all before I threw it away, but it had my old RPG Maker like folder on there, so I was like, oh wow, like I forgot about all these changes I made. So that was really part of my second wave, I guess, of coming back, and I spent about maybe a year or two like refining what I had done, but then I sat and I rewrote like 10 pages of the overall plot outline. I was coming to it from like totally different perspective, like after going through college and studying creative writing and psychology and like all these life experiences I had, and I came out of the closet, and just so many things like that had happened to me, been in relationships and friendships and my family, and it just all really informed like what I thought, with the story I thought I was writing. I realized there was so much more that I could do with it. Instead of starting a new game, like I wanted to prove to myself that I could follow through with what I set out to do, and I kind of went through all that, and then I reached this point where then suddenly, as everyone knows, like 2003 became legalized. Like it was only ever available through like illegal translations online, like circulating, and a lot of the community had moved on from that for that reason. You couldn't sell your project or distribute it. It was kind of questionable. I mean, we had, within our own little sphere, we had distribution, but I saw RFL became a commercial project, and I was actually very close with the creator of that project and a few other people. Honestly, I got the game up to be like 5, 6, 7 hours. It was, pretty close to something I could call like a full, maybe not the entire story, but something I could release as like a full experience. And then I stupidly or wisely, I don't know, I'm still evaluating. I basically started from scratch a third time, and I decided to make a commercial version of it. So my plan was to just take the outline of what I'd done and, replace the tiles that were kind of just placeholder tiles and graphics and sprites and all that, and just patch in some custom material and just throw it out there and get it all done within 1 year. That was my plan. And then how wrong I was,
It happens to us all.
Yeah.
But actually I'm glad because I felt like it took me a very long time to become confident and competent enough to actually put something out there I was really proud of and could stand behind, like that I felt like I could really call my own game and like something I could be proud of selling for money rather than just giving away. And I don't want to scam people or rip them off. Like I want it to be something that they feel like they're proud of, they're happy with their purchase, And also like it was a really great opportunity to, as you guys have kind of followed the progress, I'm sure, like take my vision, and so really allowed me to work with so many great people, pixel artists. I'm getting to collaborate with someone, Andreas. He's my composer. We decided to do a full 16-bit style soundtrack. So every song we're writing, it's within the limitations of what could actually be output on a Super Nintendo console. So that's pretty cool. It makes you think so differently about the music. Like you can't just grab from this YouTube video or this website or some film score like I did in the past. Like you have to plan it out so much more, and it's just taught me a lot more about myself. Like I was never a great like manager of other people. I was so aloof and doing my own thing in my own time, and it forced me to be more disciplined in terms of assigning tasks and the budget and who's going to draw this sprite versus that, and so much to it that it really taught me a lot. And it hasn't been all positive, but overall it's I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Well, I'm personally super stoked that you went commercial, because as somebody who's played your old demos and somebody who's played your new stuff, it's just miles beyond what it used to be, and everything, the atmosphere, the music, it's really good, man. You got something for sure.
Thank you. It feels like the natural progression of where it was headed, but it's just so much like this fresh, great coat of paint on the top. So
yep.
So.
Awesome. It's great to hear your story and looking back at it's a lot. It's a long time.
It feels like in some ways like that's the whole story. In some ways, it feels like I barely scratched the surface with that summary.
Exactly, because your game dev life has been going on for almost for a long period of time during your entire life. So it's like almost summating a major part of your life.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I'm on kind of the verge of releasing a demo, which is why I'm talking about it in such reluctant terms. I don't know what the response is going to be because it's been a very long time since I put something out on, for the general public, but I'm pretty happy with it. And I'm pretty confident that, hopefully people will be warm up to it. And there's so much great talent people that I found to collaborate with, and to mix that with my own vision plus their amazing contributions. Like I really want to show that off after a year and a half of working since the Kickstarter. So it's felt good.
I was super nervous to put my demo out to you, man. Like I was so scared. Like somebody
too, right? I mean,
it's been a long time since I put anything out. I was so scared people were just gonna dig through the shitty parts about the demo, and just point those out. But I mean, I've only had like one dude point out some stuff that I was like, okay, you're kind of like nitpicking.
There's always that one dude. There's always that one.
They're literally
like the elitist, like motherfucker. You're playing an RPG Maker 2003 game. Calm down. Just a little bit. You know what I mean? Like.
I know.
Yeah, awesome. How about yourself, Giznads? I'll ask you, Giznads. What's your story with RPG Maker? How did you come about making games?
It's almost exactly the same as Blonde. I think one of my friends, like my in real life friends, had the RPG Maker 2003 RIP or whatever. And he showed it to me, and I was like, "Oh, this is rad!" You know, I loved RPGs growing up. I've always wanted to make one, and it just kind of took off. I started on this one project, and it's gone in several different directions, even stuff that you guys haven't seen. Blonde, you especially, been there a long time like me. It used to be a lot different. Anyways.
Did you have a project that was one of your official projects before this game, or I'm having a hard time remembering that?
No, just Nihilo. It's always been this, and it used to.
So you're in the same boat, literally. That's so funny.
Yes, exactly. I think it used to go by Equilibrium was gonna be the title of the game or some goofy shit. But yeah, it's been the same game. I've just been tinkering with on and off, and I released a demo, I want to say 7 years ago, maybe 5 to 7 years ago, and I put it out, and it was the reception was okay.
Was that the one that had the tanker chase scene?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
I remember playing it.
I'm gonna redo that.
What happened to that scene?
It's still there. I still got all the mechanics. Yeah, all the mechanics are still there. I just got to port it over and make it look better. But yeah, so for a long time, I put that demo out and I just stopped working on it because of the limits of RPG Maker 2003. I just stopped. I just kind of lost interest for years, probably from like 2015 till 2020-ish. I want to say, but what really brought it back, or really got me pumped about doing it again, was this forum I follow on RPGmaker.net, the Don plugins forum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So if it wasn't for those guys making those plugins that like break the limits of 2K3, I wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. I wouldn't be working on Nihilo at all. But yeah, so huge shout out to people like Cherry,
thank you.
Yeah, Pepsi, Otaku, all those guys.
We have an episode coming out with Cherry, Pepsi Otaku, and Inaluki, which I encourage everyone to go check out when that comes out. It won't have come out by the time this episode comes out.
Definitely.
It's coming. It's coming.
Cherry's working on stuff for the official RPG Maker Steam release, or whatever you want to call it, the official RM2K3. He's working on stuff for that too. So,
they can modify it now. I thought they couldn't back then.
Yeah, no, they can now. So Cherry's been working with I don't know who the hell, the RM2K3 dudes, the guys who made
I'm surprised they're even still around. I'm like,
they see money.
People love that engine, man. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's a solid. There's a lot of shit you can do, or there's something about 2K3.
Yeah,
you just don't get in other engines. There's something
it's just
about
something. I don't know if it's the raw feeling or the aesthetic, or it's just really well suited for like 16-bit games.
Yes, it feels more close to like Super Nintendo era of games.
It does,
more than any of the other engines can offer, I think.
Even though it's so simple, but it's just the feeling you can't replicate. It's important, you know.
It's not, man.
It works.
I've tinkered around
everything from. It's everything from the small way that objects move, the message boxes, the text, the smoothness of the frame rate and things like that. It contributes, I guess. Yeah,
definitely. And I've tinkered around with like XP and VX Ace, and I even downloaded the newest one. What is it? MZ. Yeah, I played around with that, and it just doesn't feel the same. Maybe I just don't like change, but I don't know. It just does not feel the same as 2K3. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a massive. It's massive. Like it's sort of ballooned outwards in terms of features and expansion. That's sort of what people like want to see, I guess, is like this idea of more and more features added on. But like in essence, though, more fidelity, more pixels. But in essence, a certain type of game can get left behind in the process.
Yeah, and I think we hit on this on the last.
We definitely talked a lot about this, I think, last time.
I think we hit on this specific thing that we like the challenge of creating something like that in an engine so old.
Right,
You know, like
yeah,
I
you
like
really
that
feel like
personally.
the immediate, not the immediate, but just some type of reward through learning how to do it in a way where it seems like it can't be done.
Yeah.
Because in the newer engines, like a lot of 90% of what you'd want, you've more than likely you can just Google some some plugin and just
And
put
you know
it
what?
in
I
there,
think
you know?
I think because it's available in those new engines, it always just feels like cheap to me. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like I got this script I'm going to throw in. I'm not going to like do too much with it. When you're doing something
Yeah.
like that in 2K3, it's like, okay, well, I'm already doing all this hard work. This
You like
busting this
design
bitch
around
open, and yeah.
It makes you so aware of the exact structures of your game, like if this common event is going to override this one or something, you know? Like it's gonna,
There's less of the aspect of plug and play kind of thing. Where you're like, you know, I'll just plug this one in and it works. Okay, no need to customize it any further than that.
Right, exactly.
And then it just makes systems seem the same as each other, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But whereas with 2K3, they give you nothing.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
And you have to build everything from scratch.
If you look at like the different types of games in 2K3 and in like VX or VX Ace, there's VX Ace. You can look at 5 different games and they probably all look the same.
Yeah,
I agree. And you know, I've heard this on your stream before. I don't remember who it was, Benny, but it was somebody commented like these 2K3 projects are always so ambitious, and I was like, yeah, I think that's how it is because of what we were just talking about. Like,
that's actually I had never thought of that, but that is so true. Like, if we go down the list of like all the notable 2K3 games, if we came up with like 30 of them or something, like they're so diverse and so ambitious. A lot of them, you know. They're either really ambitious or they're very aware of exactly what they do well, so they focus on that.
Yeah, not shitting on any projects that are made outside, of the obviously, but like, I'm just
yeah, cool. It's awesome to hear about your journey, Giznads. About how you got about making games. Oh wow, what I made a weird noise. Something came out of my throat that I didn't expect. All right. So that's awesome. Koopa, what's your story when it comes to making games?
Well, I first discovered RPG Maker 2003. That was the first variation of this engine that I found out in about when I was like in 8th grade, middle school. I think I remember seeing like a Zelda fan game, and I also remember seeing Nigsec back then, like just not from the engine, but just the game online through Google searches. So I remember playing those games and I really liked them, and I ended up finding somehow online like what they were made with, and that's how I found the program. And you know the story, download and start exploring and looking at all the shit that you can't do that you want to do.
And you made your big game like Create Legends, like that was your, I guess, first, like it was your big like project kind of thing that you worked on first of all.
Like in essence, that's the first official game I fully made, but before that I've tried like 3 different attempts to make what the Create Legends is nowadays.
Right. And are they available, or are they
no,
lost?
That's lost to the abyss. I had like 2 hard drive failures like making games back then. One had like 10 months worth of progress and the other had like 3 years.
Oh my god.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't even know how I kept
me. So wow.
I don't know how I kept trying. Like, I feel like most people would just quit already after the second time it happens, or maybe most people would back up their shit and learn from that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's after that happened. I want to say like 2-3 years later, I just said, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna make a whole full game this time. Like no stops. I still had the drive to make something. And 8 years after I made that declaration, I came out with the Create Legends.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it took that long.
It's exactly 8 years. Wow.
Yeah, it took a long ass time.
So when did you officially finished it in 2016 or 17, right?
7.
So you had been going since even 2009. I did not realize that. Wow.
But I didn't publish anything because by the time I published my page on rpgmaker.net, the game already had like 3-4 years of development in it.
Wow.
Yeah, I just had enough for like a demo and stuff. That's when I first, because as soon as I posted the page, I had a lot of stuff to show, like screenshots and content and stuff.
I also didn't realize that you had Jeremiah George or McTricky as OST for Lakery Legends.
Yeah, I remember I discovered him on SoundCloud, and I remember hearing a lot of his work. And damn, he made really good music, like especially RPG music.
Yeah.
And I just approached him on there. I just messaged him, and like he was actually free. He didn't have, because he's usually booked and stuff. He has like a busy schedule. And we worked out like ratings, and yeah, I wanted some, not the whole game. Well, I did want the whole game to have like custom assets, but you know how money and time and I know Blind knows.
The struggle.
Yeah. But I wanted at least a soundtrack, because there's some really good games out there, fan games, but you hear like a Zelda song and it completely takes you out of the whole game.
Yeah, I feel like it's easier to get away with using rips like from, visually from a game or something, like, but then you suddenly hear a song from Final Fantasy IX like thrown in there or something, and it takes you fully out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's always gonna recall an experience you've already had, but probably better than what you're playing. So.
And so I was like, you know what? Like, yeah, it's using a lot of riffs, but I'm like, at the very least, I wanted to have a whole custom soundtrack. That was one thing I really wanted.
Yeah.
And arm and a leg later, I made it happen.
Nice, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, so that's your journey, I suppose, in making games. I'm going to kind of transition to our next kind of question, which is
actually, can I just ask a?
Oh yeah,
I don't know how you want to edit this, but can I just ask a question too? Like, so I feel like this would be interesting for people, Koopa. Like, how was your period like right after? Since you're the only one of us who's released a full game, how was your period like right after you finished? Like, did you take a break, and then how long did it take you to have the motivation or the feeling to start a new project?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you were gonna talk about Shadow Seeker a little bit too.
That's a really good question. I want to say, like after I finished Lakery Legends and I patched it, stuff like that, and I officially like stopped updating it. Even if people find something, I'm not gonna update it anymore. I'm just gonna leave it as is. But after that,
you had a few like patches for a bit, and then you were like,
yeah, and I was like, okay, this is finalized already, because otherwise I would never end.
yeah. There's some developers who I've heard say that that for them a game is never finished.
Exactly.
They just keep changing it. Like there's got to be
That's
some.
Probably the worst thing you could ever say, honestly. Especially while you're developing it.
I think I took a break after I released it for like 3-4 months, or like 4 months, I want to say, and then from there, like I just jumped back in because after taking a break, I just get all these thoughts and ideas of what I could do. And I just jump back in and start messing around, whether it's like a menu or a title screen or.
Yeah.
I like that you went with a totally different genre of game after Lakery Legends as well.
Like completely different.
For real. Yeah,
but they're both genres like I personally really like. So.
Yeah, same. I always wanted to make a horror game too. That was always a big goal of mine besides the JRPG.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of also move on to like the influences. Let me see. So like when we talk about influences, what were your favorite kinds of games and like maybe other media that inspired you to create?
I feel like our answers are all going to be kind of similar.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think classic RPGs, SNES and PS1 era, obviously. A lot of different animes, even platform games. Like, I always tell this to people, like, the biggest inspiration for my soundtrack that I've come up with him was actually Donkey Kong Country, the second game.
That's got a great soundtrack,
Yeah, just the blend of something that had never really been done at that time was, really high quality wave sounds in a SNES game, but also like rain atmosphere, like water, lava boiling, like all these different atmospheric sound effects that were intermingled with the music. I felt like that was a really big inspiration, and I wanted to apply it to more of a cinematic approach, but keeping that same style to the audio, you know. So you really find like inspiration in different sources more than just games. I've always felt that, you know. I'm sure they agree. Yeah.
I'm personally a huge fan of just turn-based JRPGs, like classic era, like PS1 and Super Nintendo, like Blonde was touching on. But Xenogears is probably my hugest influence on this game, for sure. And a lot. Well, there's a lot of influence. Berserk. That's a huge influence for me. Xenogears, Final Fantasy VII, of course. You either love it or you hate it, whatever.
Of course, the original we're talking about.
I like both.
It's not good.
Oh, who hasn't talked on their influences yet? I can't remember.
Me.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. What were you influenced by?
Well, definitely music. Any form of music, really. When, like, I don't know. Whenever I hear certain styles of music, I guess it really makes me paint certain visions or something in my head. I don't know, it gives me like a creative like spur.
Definitely.
That's one thing for sure, and definitely like a lot of the fantasy genre of movies and stuff, like Lord of the Rings,
Yeah,
all that good stuff.
I know Quentin Tarantino said the same thing. Like, the first thing he ever does is sit and listen to a music track from like a classic Western or film or something, and that paints the whole scene for him, kind of like you're saying.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, music really does that. And those are my influences, my inspirations.
Yeah, music. Some people have like developed games from the music up. Like, I don't know if anyone here kind of does that process, or like, do you go like graphics first, or like gameplay wise? Is there a certain approach, I guess?
That's a hard question for me. I have no idea. Like, I don't know where I start. Like, I really
the music is definitely like very vital to like when I'm working on a cutscene. I'd say like I'll find some place. It's a bit different now that I'm making all the songs like original, but like in the old version, I would just grab a song that I felt was really fitting for that emotion of the scene, and then I would literally write the whole scene and the characters moving around, and like the whole flavor and tone of the scene would be built from the song. So I don't know how Koopa works, but
I know a lot of the times, like making a scene, like the music I had planned for the scene, I'd always play it in the background while I'm working on it.
I was just about to say that, man. Yeah, like if I'm like, okay, I'm about to make a really tense scene, like I'll either go like make something bare, like I'll go make music and then like play that constantly while I'm making the scene or planning it out or whatever. So same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Giznads, what about Berserk would you say inspired you? Because it's funny that we both would have cited that manga, but we have such different projects. Like, so just kind of the philosophical themes, or just everything? Or what?
So I'm not a huge anime fan in general. There's a lot of animes I like, but I'm gonna say like 80% of animes that I've seen are just intolerable to me. Like,
you really are.
Like they're cheesy. They're not. Something about Japanese humor. I just don't get it.
Me and my roommate just rewatched the '97 show, and then we watched the 3 movie versions too.
So I started off with the '97, and then I watched the 3 movies, and then everybody hates the 2016.
I tried to do it, but I was like,
I loved it, man. I loved it.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I don't know.
People said the animation was especially bad in the first 2 episodes only, so maybe I have to get through that hurdle of.
It's weird because it's not physically drawn. You know, it's CG or whatever you want to call it. It's 3D animated, but I don't know. I was able to get past that, and
The source material is so strong that it's like maybe it can survive even the worst animation, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. If it wasn't for and I actually got into Berserk because of Dark Souls. I found out that old dude that does all the Souls games, he based a lot of things off of Berserk. So I was like, okay, well, I gotta watch this shit. I watched it, and I liked how gory it was more than anything. Like, and that's one thing in my game that I was like, okay, like I want to put that.
You're
in my
not
game.
afraid to go that level of darkness,
yeah, like
gore or like whatever. Yeah,
yeah. Like I'm making a game mostly for myself, honestly, and like I like those things. Why not put them in there? Like I want my bosses to have big, gross, bloody explosions when they die. You know what I mean?
Your
like,
bosses really do. Like even the first boss is like this writhing, like disgusting creature. So I'm like, he definitely pulled from Berserk, like the miscellaneous demons and stuff. Like
legitimately, yeah. It kind of also reminds me of that monster from Princess Mononoke as well. That's like this writhing, being that just kind of goes on all these arms going in all directions and stuff. It's like crazy, yeah. It's interesting to hear because like some people go from music first, graphics for gameplay. So it depends on the project for me. Sometimes I like to go for a mood with music, but if it's very gameplay focused, I'd like try and sort of nut out that initial inspiration, that gameplay inspiration first, and then design puzzles and then kind of go from there. But like it just depends on the project, I guess. But, so that's the serious topics. For this section, we're about to move on to our next section, the question box. Welcome to the question box. It's a little box where you put your questions. This is the segment where RPG Maker community users ask questions related to game development and design that we probably don't know the answers to, but we'll try. We can't. Unfortunately, we can't go through all the questions because we've only got limited time, but we're going to try and go through as many as possible. We're going to start with Punkitt's question from RPGmaker.net, who asks, what in particular made you folks want to go with RPG Maker 2K3 for your projects? I'm a long-time user of it myself, so I'm always curious to hear why other devs choose to use a program made 17 to 18 years ago for their games.
I feel like this is exactly the same as the last podcast we tried.
We
I feel like
we really covered this.
We answered it. Like at least I know I did. I mean, I gave my reasons anyways. It's the challenge and the fact that no other engine seems to match 2K3 when it comes to like visual aspects and the way like scenes play out and stuff. That's for sure my answer.
I feel like the newer engines have added so much, but they took away a certain flavor and feeling that had in it. They didn't add enough for me to feel like that loss was like compensated for. There was just something about it that I was like, it didn't feel right for the type of project I wanted. So
excellent. They also ask, I would love to hear about the mapping process of these games. Are there any spots you found particularly difficult?
Giz, you should probably answer this one because your project, every map is like so intricately made. It's made it's made in tandem with the shadows, the lighting, the path, and everything. Whereas I kind of took the old school approach, I'd say.
But you do a good job with the old school approach. Like you do a really good job with mapping within the engine. I guess my answer would be I don't map within the engine. I map within a program called Graphic Scale. And basically what I do is you can put everything on a grid. So you put everything on a 16 by 16 grid, and like you can kind of start with your ground and then put another layer on there, start with your buildings and stuff. And then the reason I guess my maps look more detailed and stuff is because like I said earlier, I'm not using the engine. So I'm able to take resources and put them all over the map. Say if I want to destroy a building or something, I can just cut little pieces out of the brick that I have on there and just move them anywhere. So I have found
some way to like do it all where the color palette and the lighting and everything is so consistent though. And I recognize so many of the the sources you pulled from asset wise besides the custom stuff, and it all just meshes so well. Like for me, I
something I used to do is just pull from Suikoden or Chrono Trigger or Rudro or like mix it all together, and it taught me a lot about what works within a palette. But something I had to become so aware of is not really the mapping process, but what I'm allowed to do within a single map, like keeping the colors all harmonious. And that was something really important to my pixel artist. He was like, yeah, we're gonna have this entire game be under 250 colors, and I was like, no way, that's not possible. And then he does it so well that I'm like, I need to make sure that I don't mix in things that will throw off the vision, because he's doing such a great job. So it's about balancing my old mapping style with the new approach, which is a little more restrained with the colors and the different tiles. But I feel like I've had to step up my actual process to make his work look as good as it can be, Yeah. So that was a challenge at first, but I feel like
that's always been where you shine to me personally, is in your mapping. Like everything is so consistent and like really pretty.
I agree.
Thank you.
But about that, like getting it. So like, you're right. If you pull from one game's assets and another, like, the palettes are going to be a little different. Like one may have higher contrast, like darker outlines and stuff. So what I do is when I pull in those, if they don't match, like I'll put them on a separate layer in my tool, and like I will just adjust the color.
Do you just do it by intuition or by eye, or do you match it to a certain like palette, or how?
Just by eye.
Wow.
So I'll take it and I'll either bring like the gamma down on it just to make it look a little more dark. Maybe subtract a little color. Like it really depends on what I'm pulling and putting it into.
Yeah. You've kind of done a little of that too, Koopa, right? Like you have your sprites from a totally different like type of visual style than the backgrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found a way to make everything mesh pretty well.
It looks good. It looks great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all have that eye for that though.
And it just goes back to 2003 again, like because there was such limited color capacity compared to the newer engines, like it kind of forced you to think in terms of limitations from the beginning. So
you had to make that shit work.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you don't know how you're reducing a panorama or like a tile set or something, and you do it sloppily, like it's just going to come out a mess. So
yeah,
it kind of forced us from the beginning to think in that mindset. So yeah.
I mean, thanks Punkitt for those questions. They're fantastic div in and of themselves. Creative Haphup, Bloom, and Astral Guard. They actually have an episode later on in the season, so look out for that.
Right on.
Yeah, awesome. Our next question comes from Star Mage, who has already had an episode. From the RPG Maker Cola Discord. All these games look very beautiful, and maybe RM2K3? Question for you all. What makes your battle system unique, and what are your inspirations with making them?
Oh, that's a good one. I can start.
Yeah.
I feel like this battle system is pretty different from anything else I've ever done.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, using an RPG Maker engine, it's not an RPG game.
Yeah.
So it features more of I want to say it's like a grid-based, tile-based combat system with melee and ranged weapons, and a variety of other little stuff. Good inspiration for the whole combat in my game was a lot of it was Dark Souls inspired, and just like a lot of the action genre of games.
Would you say Resident Evil as well, or?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I still am a pretty big fan of like the tank controllers, as people hate them nowadays. But I like them, and I like the way they feel, because I feel like it adds a little bit of complexity to the game, where you actually have to be careful with your positioning more.
What did you say? Sorry, tank controller.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the old school Resident Evil games because they say the controls felt tankish.
Yeah.
But it's you have to be very precise with it, which is similar to your game. So
yeah. And that's what I like about it. I don't like games where you can sprint like 50 miles per hour past enemies and shit.
Right.
Oh, you mean tankish in that you move and you control your direction in using different kind of you can lock your direction sort of thing.
Yeah. So that like the whole in Shadow Seeker when you aim and you're locked in place, that's definitely from like Resident Evil inspired. Not a fan of the run and gun approach in horror games, honestly. It works in a lot of good FPS games, but not for horror.
Yeah, too actiony. I don't like that either.
And I think it's really also in the Shadow Seeker combat is kind of works also in service of the atmosphere you're trying to create, or the horror vibe, like because you're always aware that you have to be so precise, it adds to the tension versus if it was more of a like loose controlled game, then you kind of know you can always like run away from it or like it's not important, but like one or two zombies, if you're caught, it can end your whole play. So you know, you have to be careful basically in every scene.
That's what makes the game scary. Like that's what makes it a horror
like the
game.
gameplay reinforces the horror in a way.
The battle system in Shadow Seeker just gave me anxiety. I was like, I'm freaking out the whole time. I streamed this game once before, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. You know, my reactions of just pure like terror in some spots, just trying to get a sense of how to even shoot the thing. You know.
And I feel like the stamina system really complements that. Like running out of stamina and you have enemies behind you is really nerve-wracking, I'm sure. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, and how about Giznads or Blind? Your battle systems? Are they? How do you find them unique in some way? And if so, what are the inspirations?
I don't really consider my battle system unique. Exactly. Especially from like a game perspective, everything I've done has been done before. It's not an RM2K3. I got animated enemies.
You're one of the only.
What I would say about your game is that because if you consider the individual aspects of some games, you're like, okay, this has been done here before, this has been done here. You know, it's very easy to just say, you know, it's the same as everything out there. But it's this, I guess, the specific, like, you know, combination and like, you know, the nature of the combination of different factors that will make it unique. So I actually do think it does feel quite unique the way that Nihilo's battle system plays at the moment. I'm just looking forward to how it kind of progresses. But
I think it rewards. You know what? I'm just reading this off the review that one guy gave me earlier. He put it better than I ever could, though. Like, so I think it rewards players that like take time and think about their next move.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not a game for people who just want to like keep nailing the attack command, you know, and like, okay, let's kill this fucking thing. It's you definitely have to switch your shit up. Like all of my characters have a secondary command. It's very important, and I've noticed from watching a few people play the game, like they're not doing that now. And I want to just tell them, you know, while they're playing, like, hey, you have a whole second command you're not using, like my main character Estes, like switch his blade over, infuse the electric component on his blade, so you can like deal actual damage to this enemy who is weak to electric. Just like I don't know. Ammo types for the secondary character Nicola, like certain ammos work better on certain enemies, and your little robot dude Oxy, he has a scan command you can use. It's I guess
I was gonna mention the robot character, because the robot, like, he's a healer, but he does scanning, he does like information, he does like so many side things that it really does add a unique element, in my opinion, because there's not many RPGs that just kind of have not a throwaway character, but just this kind of side character that does the skills or the actions for the characters, so that frees them up to do their attacks and everything. But you still have that is still, it's still at the same time very vital to the battles. You know, especially later on when the bosses are much harder.
Yeah, the little robot character, the Oxy, he's just there to guide you, to assist you. He can't die. Enemies don't even attack him. He is just there for like aid. He's there to heal. He's there to revive dead characters. He's there to scan enemies.
And he has the cutest little robot noise. My roommate walked through the room when I was playing, and then he was like, "What is that?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, it's the cute robot character."
I made all those in Fruity Loops, those little noises.
Wait, really? I love that.
I found it really innovative. I guess also that there's that aspect of the customization outside of battle that informs what is inside of it. I probably don't want to get too much into it though, because we'll dive into that later. Anything about kind of like unique battle system stuff for you, Blind?
Yeah, I maybe say the same thing as Giz. Like I don't think it's necessarily very unique, but I did try to do the battle system. I used the default battle system, just like he did for Beloved Rapture, but I really tried to make it the most visually fluid experience it could be. Like, I wanted it to feel like it wasn't necessarily like this really rigid, like pre-scripted experience, even though that's essentially what it is. Like, I found some pretty great animators to like, and I honestly tell people like that the battle system is not my strength. Like, I prefer working on the maps, the storytelling and everything else that goes into it. So with the battles, I'm kind of like just making it up as I'm going along, but I was able to find some really great like collaborators. And one thing that I think is a little unique is the defense command, the attack command kind of heal certain stats as well. So like the defense command can heal some of your HP, but it can only be done once. So then it forces you to use either magic, an item, or use another command. And similarly, the attack builds up it's similar to Limit Break. It's like a Relica skill option where you get a more powerful version of your character's attack. So you have to use the regular attack command sequentially to unlock that, but it kind of artificially forces you to mix up the commands to unlock the higher skills, which you need to beat some of the enemies that will heal themselves or kind of have a high defense or something. So it does kind of force a little bit of improvisation, and that was one thing that for my old demo, years ago, like that was something that people really complained about, was the battles could just be gone through mashing the spacebar, So, it's something that plagues a lot of RPG Maker games, unfortunately. But it's just, I think I'm really happy with it, actually. Like, Grandmaster did a great job on those animations. They're really beautiful and
so good.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys saw them. Definitely. When I added the second and third characters, I can't wait to show you guys. It's even more fluid. So,
awesome.
I think it's gotten to a point where it doesn't really necessarily feel like 2003 anymore. Like when you're actually in the battles, and I've tried to have a different battle backdrop. Like every single map that you get into a new encounter, I create a unique backdrop. So it really feels like you're getting into. Not necessarily exactly like Chrono Trigger, but it's more like the battles are in sync with your position on the map versus a pre-scripted backdrop or something, like one per dungeon or something. So it feels more naturally integrated into the maps as well. So
I can give you an example of something I find unique about your battle system.
Yeah, by all means, go.
I like how quickly you build your Relica. I mean, it's only 2, 3, 4 attacks so far with what I played in the demo. I like that because it feels like less of a something you have to wait around for, like a Limit Break. It feels like almost necessary, like to kill the enemies.
Right.
I like that. I don't think it should be like this huge, like, okay, I got this super fucking powerful attack now, so let's obliterate everything.
In the demo you guys played, there's only one single Relica, but there's planned to be like 4 to 6 per character ultimately. So some of them are going to be like can attack multiple enemies at once, versus some of them are focused, or some of them are elemental. So obviously you guys just saw a small taste, but it's going to be more integrated in terms of exploiting, the enemy weaknesses or things like that too. Like, what is the best Relica to use in each situation? It's kind of a skill that's separate from the actual like spells and stuff, more generic stuff. So, yeah.
DungeonDevDude from the RPG Maker Cola Discord asks, and I'll combine this with another question. They say, what's the most important thing you've learned in your time and in seeing people from the community come and go? And also, dragonheartman, or zexyu, from the RPG Maker Cola Discord says, I'd love to hear any memories you guys have of the early RM RPG Maker forum dwelling days. Has being an RPG Maker 2K3 dev helped you guys in real life, quote unquote real life in any way? I'd like to also shout out dragonheartman or zexyu, who is an incredible developer in and of themselves, and also DungeonDevDude, of course.
Dragonheartman's my boy.
Yeah,
He's helped me. He's helped me a lot. To answer his question, take all the help you can get from anybody and don't be afraid to ask it. As long as you're not bugging anybody and being annoying about it. Most people, like Dragonheartman, have been super nice to me and have helped me out with any questions I have, especially if they're familiar with the engine you're working on. Go for it. Like, don't be afraid to reach out to anybody for help if you think they've done something amazing.
Yeah.
I've found that especially the engine that we're all using, the pool is so small and intimate too that people are they're willing to go above and beyond, like explaining what they've done. Like,
yep.
I've messaged Cherry before, or messaged Dragonheartman, and he showed me all these unreleased things he's released, like that damage counter or like animated enemies and stuff like that. And this was like 10 years ago almost. So he was way ahead of the curve, and I've learned a lot from like just seeing other people working, especially with the more technical side that I have no clue about.
Yeah.
One
memories of the old community. Let's see. How many do I want to go through? I don't know.
Yeah. There's just so much. There's like, the community members who have helped and, been along the way, and early days. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe what are the forum threads or topics that you guys found the most memorable from back in the day?
Of course, there's a screenshot thread. Yeah. That's like the staple, like, the place where you show your screenshots and just get feedback and stuff as well. It's always been the one where it's like, whoa, look at this new game, and it has its pros and cons, of course, because you can get addicted to screenshots and showing them off, but
Yeah. Back in the day, just screenshots and looking at other people's projects. Those were the best forums.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones I enjoyed.
We didn't
the
really
most.
have like Facebook or Reddit or Twitter. Like, we just had the screenshot thread. That's it.
Yeah.
More recently, though, like the Don plugin, there's a whole thread dedicated to like plugins and stuff like that on rpgmaker.net that I frequent all the time. Sometimes I'll just go back through the pages and read stuff and figure stuff out for like my game that, like, hey, I wonder if anybody's commenting on this one thing I need help with. I can just go back and look and find answers a lot of the times.
Yeah.
A lot of the things I remember from the old days too is, besides RMN or Gaming World, there were so many smaller like niche communities too. Like, I remember, I think Dragonheartman had one of his own websites, like a little forum that was this lunatic game, I think, gaming.
Oh, yeah.
And
I remember that. That's Dragon.
Were you guys ever there? I don't know.
Oh,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
they still have a Discord. Yeah.
There was Ghostlight Gaming. That was Legion's, the Iron Gaia developer, his forums.
Oh.
There was RRR.
Yeah, that's where I originally came from. RPG Revolution. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you did? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, probably about 2010 or something.
Yeah, there was Kara's.net that had that really funny but tacky care set generator. That was funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There was Cobra's Realm. There was the Queen's Court. There's so many of the smaller, like, little, and I feel like that kind of all merged into RMN, like, as the scene. Well, I guess there was, as RPG Maker became more commercial, they had the official forums too, but any of the more like older developers kind of merged all into RMN since like 2010, 2015 onward,
Yeah.
there was such a more diversity of websites, and I think that was one thing that fundamentally changed from the old days, was that, like when I first started, I remember I was posting like screenshots on like 10 different websites, like trying to see which one would give me the most feedback or attention, or it wasn't so centralized like it is now.
Thank you to DungeonDevDude and dragonheartman. DemonClaus from the RPG Maker Call Discord asks, do you find yourself struggling when trying to promote your game in the face of the more recent RPG Maker stigma, roughly VXA's era 2015 onwards, or is that something that doesn't particularly bother you due to your confidence in your own work or knowing your audience? And if you do struggle, what are some strategies for working past it, and or tips for people passionate about RPG Maker, but say for example find it difficult to call themselves a game dev because they use RPG Maker?
In terms of promoting, I feel like it either garners a lot of attention or sometimes it doesn't. And to me, honestly, it's not a big deal. I mean, I'm just putting it out there for whoever else wants to see it.
Because it's different depending on your goals, I guess. Like, if your goal is to, like, for some people, they don't mind how many people play it or what feedback they receive, as long as someone, has a comment and it's like, sweet, that's me. But then for some people, like, they have financial investments in it, and it requires some financial profit, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because for instance, we have Blind here who has to deal with finances, and pressure and expectation. So it's a lot different depending on.
It's interesting, like. Despite putting in so much of my own money, like even beyond the Kickstarter, and like, just trying to revamp everything from what it was before, I feel like it still comes down to like the quality over quantity in terms of people playing, though. Like one really passionate player who writes a nice review and really understands like the vision I was going for is more motivating than like 1,000 downloads or something where there's not really. Or they're like, great job, or nothing substantial. Like a lot of people from RMN, like Lord Blue Rouge and Camphor and Giznads as well, and Koopa, and even Ucash. Like I think a while back, I've had so many people, and it's been really humbling and sweet. Like they've reached out and they told me they really want me to succeed and helped me like make my project flourish, and like they're willing to give me very like in-depth help or feedback, or that matters more to me than like how much money I make, or like whatever comes from it, like just like that way it makes people feel or how it resonates with them, like even if it's a small group of people. I feel like that is more rewarding, and I think that's something we should encourage more with the community, is like reaching out, especially people who are just starting. They don't necessarily have all these peers and friends and stuff. So, we've been kind of blessed that we do have an inbuilt audience in a way,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I mean, I'm not putting my game out there commercially at all. It's completely free, and it will be because I use other people's assets. But I've never seen like me using 2K3 as like a negative from anybody. If anything, I've always gotten like, wow, you made this in 2K3.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like that maybe if anything, it's helped me promote my game.
Yeah. If anything, it's been positive. Like people being surprised that we're sticking with it. It's never been like, oh, I won't play your project for this reason, or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, like, with the RPG stigma thing that Claus is talking about, when they say roughly VXA's era 2015 onward, that for me mostly applies to VXA's and onward engines, because there is that sense of like when the graphics.
Where do you think that comes from? Like that stigma? That's like, is there a reason for it, or is it just kind of like because the new games have a childish aesthetic to them? Like, is that where it comes from? Or
you should read Steam reviews of these games.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, because it's like when VXA came out and so on, when it started to get higher resolution, the graphics, and this is not knocking Interbrain in any way, or Digica, that they started to have this kind of uncanny valley kind of aspect to them, where it's like the graphics are high fidelity, but they're very recognizable and very highly detailed to the point of being instantly recognizable and almost overdone the certain aesthetic that it used. For instance, when there were less pixels, it was easier to make an art style that looked unique. But now that there's more pixels, it's reduced that, because RPG Maker has generally been the kind of engine that anyone can pick up and use. It's been marketed as the easy to use engine for making games. But the thing that's not easy to do is pixel art with a lot of pixels.
Right. It's almost like because the bar was raised so high, it almost somehow exposes like the mediocre attempts or like the games that are not, because someone that could make a great pixel work in the earlier versions may not be able to do that in a higher resolution or something like that.
You couldn't make Space Funeral in, well, you could, but like it will be less likely to make Space Funeral in like VX Ace or MV, because it relied on it was that you were able to make a unique aesthetic even with less fidelity. I don't know. It kind of so it kind of made it less accessible to make. They made it more accessible to make games, but less accessible to make good games. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, at least
it's just because the
speaking.
bar is raised in general, so it's like. I can see why people, even though we were knocking it earlier, like rely on plugins or all these things, because what is expected is so much higher. It's maybe even just subconscious in a way, but like what we expect when we see like a project of that versus like we kind of will have an inherent appreciation of the older engine projects because they're like, oh, well, they overcompensated and did this, and so yeah. And for some
reason, just like games made in 2K3 and earlier, like look less alike for some reason. I don't know, because like
it's strange, but that's very true.
Maybe it's because they gave less assets as well. Was that true or was that false? I don't know. Less RTP. I don't know. Because people were forced.
I think there was, for better or worse, there were more people using the RTP with the newer engines too, because there were no ripped graphics in that resolution. There were no there weren't that many asset packs until recently, so I think a lot of artists took advantage of that fact, and finally there's a lot of material and asset packs you can use now. But for a while there was people using the RTP because that was all they had accessible to them.
Yeah, it was difficult to cobble together something from different resources that cohered.
Right, yeah. Which is what a lot of us did in the beginning,
Yeah. Whereas if you got something like a rip from a different game in 2K3, you could at least kind of maybe edit it to look similar to the other one.
Like you can take the rips from like 3 SNES RPGs from Squaresoft, and basically if you edit them enough, it looks fine. Like but exactly. You can't really do that with
with more pixels, then you can't really rip from different games because like they'll look way more different. So you have to like find either a complete asset pack that's made by the same artist that all looks consistent, or just use the RTP.
And then there's never enough assets that come in those packs to make like a full-blown game.
I think Blind was saying that only recently with like the advent of like a lot of Jason Perry's done a lot like of stuff like what's the and
also there's Salil, I think is her name. She did the assets for the game that I think Giznads mentioned, the pseudo 3D one that's a little Octopath style, where it's not quite isometric, but it's like not top down either. She did some really beautiful like pixel art, like it just looks pulled out of like Seiken Densetsu 3 or something, like really well done. And then he made it even a touch further by making it 3D. So but as someone who pays for, I've tried to use my own artists, but also merge in other asset packs, and it's hard because every artist draws a little bit different, and like I noticed like my artist tends to like pixel things in very like he uses a lot of clusters, for example. He doesn't use much dithering, or like it's just shaded in a very particular way. And I noticed like even if you try to bring in some other 16-bit stuff, like it doesn't necessarily work, so I can imagine the problem is even more compounded if you're just a kind of starting out and you're amateur and like you don't know what to pull from. There's 20 different asset packs and you're like, what do I do? Whereas in the old days, you could just take from any commercial game, and people accepted that.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, so that's all the questions we have for the question box. I think the only one we had left was Kane Kusayanagi from Twitter, who said, "How many souls did you sacrifice to make your games look as gorgeous as they are?" Which is, that's a subjective topic. It could be a few, could be many.
Lost count.
And then a question from Goteeks from the beloved Rapture Discord, which kind of melds into what we'll go in the deep dive. But I just wanted to thank them for asking that question, but that's something that's going to overlap with what we're going to talk about later. So yeah, thanks everybody for asking your questions. We're going to move on to our next section right now, which is a deeper dive. It's called the Deep Dive. Welcome to the Deep Dive. In this section, we dive deep into each of our guest projects and figure out what went on during the process, inspirations, and elsewise. For Blind, we'll be talking about beloved Rapture. For Giznads, we'll be talking about Nihilo. And for Koopakush, we'll be talking about Shadowseeker. But first, let me introduce each of the projects. For beloved Rapture, set in a world of political intrigue and ancient magic, it's an upcoming 2D RPG inspired the SNES era. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's very much inspired by the 16-bit era of gaming. The developers made a conscious effort to recreate the charm and nostalgia of that era, expressed through the game's artistry, music, mechanics, and presentation. Contemporary themes mesh with a high fantasy or medieval setting, pixel art crafted with love and meticulous detail, an evocative 16-bit inspired soundtrack, dynamic and strategic turn-based combat, a highly cinematic story experienced episodically, and a cast of 10 playable characters. So
it may have shifted from 10, but yes.
I was actually going to ask Blind. Well, I guess I have two questions. First of all, which is probably what inspired the project first of all, and also has it changed from what it first became and what was described here in the Kickstarter?
Yeah, it's a great question. I feel like it honestly changes every month. I mean, it's evolved so much from the source material of just really being a project I started in my high school, college years for fun. Like, it was a short story I wrote. I was really into fantasy, like animes and fantasy stories and novels, and I could go on and on. But yeah, I feel like it was really just something I cobbled together in the beginning. I wasn't thinking too deeply about it. It was something like one of the dreams of mine was I always wanted to create my own game project, like I'm sure many other people listening. I think what was really remarkable and maybe a little unique about it was just how long of a development period it's had compared to a lot of projects. Like, I don't think a lot of developers, maybe with the exception of bad luck or a few other people who took a long hiatus and came back to their old work, like, it really allowed me to see like a lot of what I did with fresh eyes, and especially with some of the people who helped me with some more writing choices or editing choices, like really fine-tuning the story I wanted to tell. I was like, how much of this is just complete trash and how much of it is worth saving, And a fair amount of it was definitely trash, but there was just through going with it, like with a good editor and refining a lot of what I had done from 5 to 7 years before, it showed me I had a lot of promise in some of the ideas and a lot of things that were baked in there. Like, for example, my protagonist is kind of bisexual in terms of his relations in the story. And that was something I didn't even really think about when I was 18, like writing the scenes. It was just more about, the lore or the fantasy intrigue and universe and politics of that game's world. But I wasn't like taking a step back and like thinking about it as if this is a human character. Like, what is he feeling? What is he going through? What is he grieving with? What are this character's demons. That something is really important to the way I want to write the story. It's not just about the physical conflict, but the conflict that's happening inside of this character. And without really spoiling it, I've told everyone in here kind of some spoilers, but just keeping it vague. Like, I think it was really actually gratifying to go back and revise everything I had done before, and I could keep so much of the lore and the world building the same, but just give it a more mature, and going off of things like Berserk that we talked about and other projects and RPGs I'd played since then. And, even like books I'd read during college, or things poetry and like all these things that I had taken in since that time, and personal growth I had gone through. I felt like I owed it to myself to bring all of that to how I was going to write this game. Like, I wasn't just going to rehash what I did before, but if I was really going to spend another few years, like, making it a commercial product, like, what was new that I could bring to this to, like, reinvigorate my interest in it. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say it's evolved quite a lot through the years, and I wouldn't even... It's probably the same project in name alone. Like, I'd say there's literally nothing I kept from the beginning time that, besides the premise. And I kind of sat down and played the old version, and I honestly cringed quite a lot like that. I was like, what is this? Just like, but there was some tinge of angstiness, and I don't even know how to describe it. Like, some feeling that I could feel, like, through the simplicity of the dialogue and the lines that maybe I was feeling when I was 18 or 22 or 25. And now that I'm older, I was thinking to myself, like, how do I keep that authenticity and that kind of angstiness that's really genuine and heartfelt in there without it being so cringy? And, like, how do I mature that what I have in there, but also not make it overproduced either, like, keep that authenticity there, what I originally was thinking and feeling in these characters, so it's really hard. It's a balancing act for sure.
We'll flip back to beloved Rapture in a second, but we're gonna move on to Nihilo, which is Giznads' game. This story is about Estes, who was just 14 years old and dealing with the loss of his father when the calamity occurred. Objects of unknown origin had struck near Ignorosa, the capital of Otanon, with the force so great that dust blotted the sky out and led to 3 months of freezing and unrelenting snow. People died of cold and starvation, and only a few isolated enclaves lived to see the months of blizzard end as suddenly as they started. During this time, many plants and animals were also decimated or driven to extinction. In their place, new and dangerous creatures to fill the void, many with a mysterious link to the calamity itself. And then there's like a 10-year gap, and Estes and his friend Nikolai sent out from their hometown of Jupa to make contact with survivors further north, and the journey takes them halfway across the barren lands of Otanon and grow more complex than anyone had imagined. Nihilo's like I'd describe it as a very custom game. It's got a heavily modified kind of battle system, animated monsters, heavy immersion with, like, explorable objects, locations, very horrifying, sort of like tense atmosphere. Like I think we described earlier, there's this monster, this big, like, sort of writhing monster you kind of like come across as the first major boss, and it kind of sets the tone for me as a sort of like, this is the game, you're going to come across some horrifying, like, kind of imagery. And I think that's one of the big sells of the game, I guess. I've seen in, like, animated screenshots that you circulate around. It's a good sell too. It's like you see this beast and people are like, oh, I want to play that game. It's like the writhing, but I think beyond that, what I also appreciate is that beyond just being very pretty, it's like it's also very focused on gameplay. Like, I can tell there's a lot of thought having been put into, like, weaknesses, strengths, and, like, customization in particular. Very, like, fond of. I just like to know, how did Nihilo come to be, and what was your sort of, like, thought process coming through this?
This is not going to be anywhere near as articulate as any of you guys can put it. So let's start off with that.
Don't sell yourself short.
Man, I just wanted to make a really cool RPG ever since I was young, and was influenced by a lot of games like Xenogears, Final Fantasy VII. I wanted to put something out in that vein, kind of fantasy, but also like bleak, cyberpunky, apocalyptic, kind of. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but man, talking about how the battle system is, and how you definitely need to focus on strategy and stuff. So the first thing I did when picking this game back up was programming out a bunch of battles and getting a solid battle system down before I delved into creating the game at all.
Also, it didn't used to be like as deeply focused on combat as it is now.
Absolutely not. I had no plugins. I had I had animated monsters or whatever, but I mean, it's nothing like it is. It was nothing like it is today, for sure. So I spent, like right around when COVID hit, I was like, well, I'm working from home now. I'm going to pick this game up. And like, I went in with the plan to create a solid battle system, because for RPGs, I mean, that's your staple, right? For turn-based RPGs, that's your staple, is the battle system. So I probably spent a year like building out the battle system first, and then I had this general overall basic plot, and I'm still fleshing it out with dialogue and actually making things tie together and stuff. And I don't want to give too much away, because I mean, you'll know the whole story, I guess. So
it's very sort of like in depth and stuff. And what I will say, like, I loved your like I loved your sort of comment about like I made this because I wanted to make a good game, which is like so simple. I mean, I want to make a game. Like that's like I interviewed Mortis Ghost, the creator of Off, recently, and I was just struck by their very personable demeanor and the fact that this very influential game that seems quite like important. I asked them why they made the game, and they said, I just wanted to make a game for my friend. Which was just like really simple, like this simple thing. Like I love that idea.
I mean, that's my answer, honestly. Like, I just wanted to make a cool game that I would like, and hopefully other people will like. I've already, like, people that have played this have already told me they pick up on like the Xenogears like influence, and that makes me happy. Like, just knowing that, like, hey, that was one of my biggest influences, and like just for the fact of for some random person to pick that out, like, I feel like I'm doing right by my game and by myself. So but that's literally how I started out. I was like, man, I want to make a cool ass RPG. It's gonna be sick. And here we are.
You succeeded, buddy.
Nihilo is just like a really nice looking game, and I'm really looking forward to playing the demo this Friday. 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. is the new time for streaming, now that daylight saving time's done its thing, so that's the new time. 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. EST. Nihilo's game, Giznads game, Nihilo will be played. So check that out. Come to the stream and have fun. So next game that I'd like to point out is Shadowseeker. Shadowseeker starts out with Amarita Town, a sleepy location filled with peaceful residents and gloomy scenery. You are Carlos Ramirez, a seasoned detective who has experience with many different kinds of cases and investigations. On a fated day, you come face to face with a case you have never witnessed before. A very mysterious and tragic murder of a family that lived in the outskirts of the town. Something about it is not right, though. It makes you feel extremely uneasy and almost unsure. As your mission deepens, the mystery appears to be shrouded in evil like never before. What awaits you will tear you down and shake you to your core, and ancient darkness arises from the shadows. Enter the Shadow Seeker. Yeah, so this game features some like immersive combat. It has like, shooting, and as like Cooper mentioned earlier, it has like a tank style kind of moving around and choosing your direction and shooting at like undead or just some beings who want to just eat you and claw at you. But like basically, this game is like much like the other two projects. It uses 2K3, uses and abuses 2K3's systems and just like makes like, it has an upgrade system, exploration kind of like stealth. Like apparently there's some planned features for like stealth and bone chilling stuff for like different enemies. Bosses have different like behaviors and stuff, and files to keep track of events and enemies. So how much of what I've said is true? Is it mostly true? Is this how the game?
It's all there. It's all there. Yeah.
What kind of inspired like the core idea of Shadow Seeker, and how do you feel like it's gone so far? I guess.
Definitely a lot of it's inspired from a lot of the old school horror video games. Silent Hill, Resident Evil, The Evil Within. And honestly, it's going really good. It's past what I had expected for it, and I just decided to delve deeper and see like what more I can bring out for it.
Like, yeah, you're making like a shooter in 2K3. What are the unique kind of aspects and challenges that come along with making a game like Shadow Seeker?
Well, I know for sure this program also has a stigma for action battle systems, because they're not that well implemented in the system, and a lot of the system can't handle really pixel precise movement. So figuring that I know that, I might as well design around what it can do rather than what it can't do, and still make it just as fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big attention to detail and environments and stuff. And I'm also gonna I'm not sure if am I allowed to say, is it a spoiler to say that there are possible implied co-op opportunities, but single player co-op opportunities?
Oh no, that's not a spoiler at all.
yeah. That's very innovative. That's actually a big selling point. There's a point in the game in which you gain another party member, but you're actually controlling two different characters, single player, to your whole shooting gameplay and stuff like that. I find that incredibly innovative. Is there some kind of thoughts that you have towards that designing for single player co-op?
Yeah, I did like the idea of a partner system. I didn't want to make it super intricate because that would just take way more time and cause a lot of problems probably. So the partner AI is available for you in just several chapters. She won't be with you every single point of the game, because usually the player might feel a little tired of that. And it's nice to kind of switch it up from playing as one person and having a partner. You realize how valuable they could be.
Yeah.
And the partners is pretty dynamic too. Besides just following you, if you're near a specific point of interest, she'll stop following you and take her look somewhere else, and she'll notice something, and she'll go around there and probably prompt you to go check it out with her, and that unlocks more dialogue. Just so she explores the map as well, as you do too.
It's rad.
She has. I did change this when I first announced it. She has her own health now. Back then, she couldn't get targeted by enemies, but now enemies can attack her. She can die, which will result in you getting a game over. I had to go back and implement the system because this wasn't always a planned feature. So, in the menu now, your healing items, you can heal her in the menu as well as yourself. It's optional, on who you want to heal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think I'll actually I'll open this up now that we've kind of gone through all three projects. I'm interested in one particular thing, and I know it's a big factor in 2 of these games, maybe the third, but I haven't got that far enough in the third to know. And that is the idea of bosses. Yeah, like I know Shadowseeker has a big influence. Like, you know, bosses have their own unique like takes on different bosses. Like, you know, they have to move in certain ways, and you have to find out how to, you know, get in the right orientation behind them and stuff. And I guess I haven't played I haven't played the latest demo of Giznads game Nihilo, but that boss there required some strategy to get past. You know, you had to figure out weakness and stuff like that. And with beloved Rapture, of course I haven't got far enough to know either. But like when it comes to encounter design and bosses and stuff, what did you guys like think about when it came to that? Did you find it difficult? Is it something that you really stress, or?
It's something I enjoy doing, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was gonna say,
like,
Giz, like your game is really like more than probably any project I've seen in the engine. Like granted, I've only seen 2 or 3 bosses, but it feels like I can really get the sense like you're trying to make every boss like a cinematic, like really impactful experience. Like there's no like pushover or like passive bosses. Like it's always a focal moment of the story or the gameplay.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're like when you get to the boss, it's an event essentially that you're going to spend 5, 10 or more minutes on. So I think that's something you do really well, and something I'm still something I'm still learning how to do well.
Yeah.
I think that just comes from my love for like Dark Souls games.
Yeah.
It's all about bosses. So like I wanted to implement that into my game, and I wanted to make every boss kind of memorable, whether it's because they keep killing you or just something about them. You know,
I'm so glad a lot of people did that to my boss.
And if and when you guys play the demo and do the side quest, there is something I wanted to implement into the game, like Dark Souls does, is when you kill a boss, even like optional bosses, like in my demo, if you go through with it, the side quest, I want there to be some more story told. So not only you get rewarded with like money or items or anything, I want you to get rewarded by figuring out or finding out more about the story of the world and some of the lore and stuff. So you'll notice like I don't want to go too far.
Do you like that? That right there is amazing, because your bosses are so intricate and so beautifully done with all their animations that the fact that there's an optional one is that early on is pretty cool. Like I don't think many people would do that.
Yeah, and you know what? I kind of hate is I put a lot more time into this optional boss than I did the first 2 bosses of the mandatory bosses of the game, and I was like, oh man, shit, makes me want to go back and add a little more to those as well. But I don't know, we'll see. That is something I would like to be a reward for killing bosses, is like, hey, maybe you find out more about the story or more about that boss itself and how it ties to the story, yada yada yada. I won't give too much away, but if you play it, you'll see.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot about these games already. The deep dive has been kind of sometimes answered in the question like portion, but I was just wondering if any of you 3 had any sort of questions about each other's games. I'd be interested.
Blonde, when's your shit coming out?
Question, yeah. Maybe we can comment on the strongest or weakest aspects, not weakest, but like where we maybe want to improve, like on each project.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Okay,
because we've all played or seen all 3 of each other's games, so that's
Yeah, so I guess I'll ask that question. What would you consider? Like, I first probably ask, what was the thing you're probably most proud of in your game, and what do you feel like went the most well? Like that you had the most either fun doing or just turned out really great. And then on the other side, what kind of was the biggest challenge? One of the biggest challenges when creating this game, and how did you overcome it?
The thing I'm most proud of in my biggest strength in this game, I can say, is the gameplay. That was the first thing I focused on before I even started a map in this game.
Yeah.
And there's just so much to it. There's a stealth system. There's even a sound system, depending on how far you are and noises you make, how close you are to an enemy. Like guns have different range for their sounds. Shotgun has more range, so enemies that are even further can hear it if you were to shoot a pistol instead. So there's a lot of attention to detail. Besides critical damage, there's headshots. There's dodging at just the right moment when an enemy attacks to avoid taking damage. Stamina, rolling. There's a lot of gameplay.
So it's a very like kind of dynamic and flexible sort of system that you've created. It's like you're taking lots of different factors into consideration.
Yeah, definitely. Certain upgrades where you can use the lighting and shadows to your advantage, where crouching in shadows even makes it harder for enemies to detect you. Little things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's going right into detail.
I would say, Koopa, one area you really exponentially improved on was the atmosphere and the visuals of this game. Like every area is so well done, man. Like
I've
really detailed.
Been taking my time, like map by map.
Yeah, and it's probably because it has maybe like quantitatively, like Lakira had hundreds or thousands of maps. So this one you can spend more energy on each one. You know. Yeah. And it's to a great effect, I think.
Was there something that was quite a challenge for you to overcome as well, or was that the challenge?
Well, that in itself is almost a challenge, but the main thing is having the patience to do it all, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So I find it easy just to work at small paces. Like if I'm just working on something with the shooting, then that's all I'm going to work on the whole day. I'll just focus on that, not worry about anything else.
Yeah,
and
same.
Just chip away like one feature mechanic at a time and just concentrate. Yeah, because it's super time consuming.
It's definitely a very incremental engine. Yeah, it's like you can spend like multiple days just adding one quick moment to like that people are going to gloss over.
Yeah, and just including a little barrel in a room that has random loot and stuff, and shooting it, being able to shoot it with every weapon in the game and stuff like that. That at least takes like 2-3 hours, and that's just for one little item that you can get. You know, so it's definitely a test of patience.
Yeah, I mean, it's really admirable. I guess for people who are like listening as well, like they probably want to hear how you three achieve progress and how you maintain it and how you make like how you like work on your games, probably, you know, keep up motivation, but also like continually sort of, I guess it's also aimed at Koopakush, who's created this long game and Lakria Legends. Like, how do you keep up that kind of long-term progress?
Well, definitely it's a lot of it's ambition. You know, you really have the drive to get something out there. You want to see it through. So it's like a mental thing where you just push yourself, but you don't want to burn yourself out.
It's kind of the feeling of like, I can't imagine my life like without finishing it. So then I just go from A to B, and I'm like, okay, well, I have to then. So how can I fit this into my life? You know, and obviously it's increasingly harder like the older you are. So you know,
a lot of people get discouraged because sometimes it takes a while, or like they realize that they kind of bit off more than they can chew. And honestly, I feel like that's fine if you just take your time with it. Some people work with deadlines. And I don't understand that. I don't want to understand that because that sounds really pressuring. But, you know, I guess if you just do it for yourself and just take your time with it and release it when you want to release it, you won't feel as overwhelmed as in feeling the need to get it out like as quick as possible. And just take it slow.
How about the others? Blind or Giznads, whoever wants to go first. What was the your thing you're most proud about your game, and then maybe one of the challenges, the most challenging thing that you had to overcome?
I can go. I think I'm proud that I've finally got something coherent together at all. Like
you did that so fast too. It's just such an accomplishment. So.
Well,
the fact that it's such a high quality for how fast that was made is pretty pretty rare, honestly.
Well, what I did was I tackled the really hard things, the most time-consuming things when it comes to coding, like the battles. I have that template per se now that I can just run off of and change a few things out and have like a solid system for battles that I can just create new battles off of this template, right? And the menu system, the custom menus and all that, that was horrible. Like that took like a year almost. That was most of the work I did starting. Yeah. That took so I would say beginning of 2020 I started working on the battle system, got that nailed down. But I was also working on the custom menu as well. And once I got that down, now I still have like these little template pages that I can go back to and just change a few things out, yada yada yada. So I mean, that's what I'm most proud of. But that's also the most that's also the worst thing I've run into so far was doing that stuff. So I guess that's my answer for both. So,
what was your motivation to rely on the custom menus? Did you just feel like there was no other way that you could get what you wanted without doing that?
Yeah, I wanted a radial menu. That's it.
Yeah,
like
that's all. That was the point.
I wanted something that looked visually appealing to me.
And it fits the game too.
It's like a cyberpunk Secret of Mana menu. Yeah.
Like the menu fits the game.
Yeah. But yeah, now that I've got that down, it's easy for me to move at a pretty quick rate. When I pick it up, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. This is the next scene. Let's get it all done. I'll start with maps. I'll figure out what needs to go on in the scene, where we're going to, well, you know, all the usual stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, because sometimes the thing we're most proud about is the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The answer to both questions.
Yeah. I can imagine it'd be quite challenging to create what you've created in the engine that you do. So I can see that. How about yourself, Blind? What are you most proud of, and what was, I guess, the biggest challenge for you?
Yeah, I mean, to kind of echo Giz's point, like, it feels like the motivation over such a long term was honestly like something that I've been so proud of myself about, but also so angry about with myself, you know, because it's something that I, you know, could have easily like put to the side of, you know, my priorities in life, like so many other things I wanted to do. And I kept like pushing to basically build it from the ground up again. From what I had before, and it's really not easy. Like I spent probably 4,000 or 5,000 hours. Like I checked my Steam RPG Maker use.
Yeah.
And
holy shit.
Like yeah. But yeah, I'd say there were so many moments where I could have easily like just felt like, you know, this is too much. Like this is way too ambitious. You know, like the style of game that we all thought that we could do like when we're a teenager is not like sustainable at this level. But you know, I am proud of myself that despite my, you know, moments and stuff, I've kept through with it. And it really is just admitting to yourself like it's not always going to be fun, a walk in the park, you know, like you just have to open it. And if you're reading a book, like just as Ben said, like just read a few pages per day, you know, or you know, just make a little bit of progress every day, whether it's coding a barrel being blown up or an item shop or a little cutscene or a battle or something, you know, or adding some rain or effects or whatever's going to give you some stimulation that day is something to work on. And yeah, I'd say like the fact that I've watched the cutscenes now and like seeing it all come together with the music and the new visuals and assets and stuff, and just like seeing it like feel like so polished from what it was before is really gratifying. But you know, it's also like I can't easily forget the amount of work it took to get to that point.
Yeah, it's an iceberg. It's an iceberg, is what it is. It's like usually that's with gaming, like what you or game making. It's like what you see on the outside is usually a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's not less than what all the effort that you see that goes on behind the scenes.
They don't realize like how many tens of thousands of hours, like, or different versions or money or things that like went on to even get to that point, because it's like you know, so it's like it's so incremental, especially for this genre, that it can be taxing, you know. But
yeah,
Yeah.
And everyone works in different ways as well. Like it's just you just have to work with what works for you and what gets you to the product that you need, you know. So in the end, that's, I mean, yeah.
And I was honestly tempted to go. Like, I'd say a big challenge was visually keeping the project close to what it was before, because it was using some of the Super Nintendo assets from like the late era that are not easily reproducible. It was like the best looking, Final Fantasy VI and Rudra, Chrono Trigger, Trials of Mana. They were all like just such gorgeous games that I was like, how can I ever like make this anything close to what it was before? Like, should I just go for like an Earthbound type of style or like something more simple? And it took a long time to I hired a few different artists. Like I experimented with different things before I finally found someone that style was so nice and impressionistic. Like it was generally close to what I envisioned, and I got really lucky. So, but yeah. It's I'd say a lot of, to summarize, a lot of the behind the scenes and trying to plan so many aspects, like the color palette and the style of the tiles and so many things that I didn't really think about before because I was just using pre-made assets. Now to make them from the ground up, still keeping that same flavor, was a challenge that even though I'd used the engine for 5 years or 6 years, I'd never had to think about that before. So that was a new challenge in the past couple of years.
I think we'll just kind of wrap up here, but I'd like to just kind of say I very much kind of have a lot of hope for all three of your projects. I think they're all very innovative and very fun to play and very ambitious. And I just love to hear continual updates with you in future. It's been really cool to have that friendship with all three of you, and I just want to see all three of your projects kind of thrive, because for different reasons. Shadowseek is very action based, very innovative. I highly enjoy that level of gameplay, and then Giznads has got this customization, horrifying, futuristic kind of stuff, I guess. But and then it's Blind has been this project that I've known for a long time, since the IRC days, but it's still kind of coming through, and it's just really heartwarming to see all three of these projects just kind of come through, and I'm just gonna say thank you for being on the podcast, recording for the second time, just putting up with the glitches and everything. And it's been a privilege.
Thanks for having us, man.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, and to kind of wrap it up. Do you have anything you'd like to promote or plug? How can we follow you? How can we support you? What are your socials and things like that? What do you have?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite kind of cola?
Ooh, me? Is that for everyone?
You. Yeah, you, Benny.
Well, here's a fun fact. I don't know if everyone knows this. I don't drink soft drinks with sugar. I drink only the zero and diet versions of cola. So, yeah, I mean, sugar screws me up. So. I don't know if that's a well-known fact. I have a sugar-free diet.
I only drink diet sodas as well.
Oh yeah. I used to hate them at first, and then I grew to like them just because I drank them so much. So now I prefer them. But
So wait, what's your favorite?
We've learned something new today.
My favorite cola probably be diet vanilla cola. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's good, but I don't mind Coke Zero. I don't mind Diet Coke, the original. It just depends on my mood, It just fluctuates.
A&W root beer, diet root beer. That's the best one.
Oh yeah, that's good. If we're talking about soft drinks in general, I kind of sugar-free energy drinks. Sometimes I have some of those. Yeah, pretty bad for you, but yeah, they're pretty bad for you. But I mean, I'm a caffeine addict, so. What are you gonna do? But anything you'd like to plug, your socials? What are you doing at the moment? Any plans for future?
You can plug my YouTube channel. That's where I update. I feel like I update more there than I do on Oh, sorry, I spaced that. There than I do on
Amir, you need a Twitter channel for your for your project.
Yeah, Koopa should get a quick Twitter now.
Yeah, he has so many GIF-worthy moments from Shadowseeker at this point. So
yeah, RPGmaker.net also has the Shadowseeker content there.
Yeah, those two sites would be the best bet to check out my stuff.
Yeah. And go, I'll just plug it for you as well. Go download Shadowseeker now and play the demo. It's really, really, really good. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah, go get some spooks.
Yeah, I nominated Shadowseeker for quite a few awards last year. Yeah.
Yes.
And Giznads, where can we follow you?
RPGmaker.net for sure. That's where I post stuff. Mainly, I have a Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Giznads.
And also, Giznads, you have a Discord channel now for.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I don't really use it.
You forgot about it.
It's not even linked on your Twitter. Anyway, go check that out. Download Nihilo demo out now. That's the thing that I'm going to push. Giznad's latest demo of Nihilo is out now. Go try that, stream that, test that, give feedback. They'd love you to hear from you. So it's at Giznads on Twitter. Blind, how can we follow you?
So I update my Twitter the most at this point. So it's twitter.com/belovedrapture, one word. Also rpgmaker.net/game/8. One of the original 10. And I'm bound by my Kickstarter followers to release the game, the demo on Steam. So I'm going to probably be doing that. I'm hoping for probably by the end of May or the beginning of June. So I'm very much on the precipice. Yeah, it's about double or so what you guys played before. And I really meant to get it for this podcast, but you know how it is. So
yeah.
But I'm really excited to bring that. It's going to be a great little benchmark. We're going to submit it to publisher and try to get some feedback on Steam and post on RMN and do some different things with it. So it'll be the first time since many years ago that I posted anything. So really excited for that.
Excited for you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Follow at Beloved Rapture on Twitter and also join their Discord. It's on the pinned tweet as of right now. And yeah, just follow the progress there. It sounds like there's going to be updates soon. It's really exciting. Join the Discord. Get in on it. Get in on this hype. It's about to happen. All three of these games, just support them however you can. That's the end of the podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to be streaming I don't know which of these games I think I'm going to be streaming like Career Legends and Nihilo, and we'll see if I'll be streaming something from Blind. Not too sure about that, but we'll see. Either way, it's going to be fun. This Friday 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. EST, join in on the RPG Maker Cola. I'd like to plug RPG Maker Cola as well, the podcast you're listening to. Listen to other episodes. There's some fun episodes happening, and join the Discord community and follow us on Twitch. But for now, I'd just like to say thank you for joining. You can probably hear the music swelling by now. It's just swelling and emotionally just kind of rising up. And these three have just been great. You've been great just listening there, developing probably your latest game. Just keep developing, keep doing it. You're doing a great job. You got a good game going there. Keep going. But I like for all of us to say we're just going to say goodbye. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you for listening.
It's a pleasure.
All right now.